And we are live. Welcome everyone to the 44th episode of Coaster Time, hosted by me, Carrick from Coaster Hour. And as always, we will be doing a bunch of different segments in this Coaster Time episode. And if you want to know what exactly is happening in this stream, I have the itinerary in the description down below, so that'll kind of have all the segments we are doing. But today, I am also joined by a special guest who is well known for being a big-time collaborator and show host within the coaster community. And with that being said, I would like to have the ambassador join me for Coaster Time. Ambassador, how are you doing?
Hey, what's good? Thanks for inviting me onto the show, Carrick, and for that awesome introduction. How nice is that?
Yeah, it is great to have you on. We've been discussing this for a decent while now, so
Yeah.
it's super nice. Another fellow California coaster enthusiast, first guest I've ever had who I think I met previously before doing this. So
Right. Opening day, right, for Wonder Woman, Flight of Courage.
yeah, what a crazy opening day that was.
Wasn't that in July? Was that July last year?
July last year. I made it off an
year.
absolute miracle.
1 year. That's crazy.
Yeah, that was crazy. Got to see you there. I mean that was and of course doing Wonder Woman, that was my first opening day experience. That was pretty awesome.
Yeah, and it was like, I think it was like 145 degrees, and like the line was like 17 hours long, and the ride was good.
Yeah, I mean, I only got the one ride. I'll admit I wasn't. I'll say the later rides I got in afterwards on the days I went later were better, but it was still cool to get a ride on it that early. So
Yeah, for sure.
that was
That's always a
pretty
fun.
awesome.
It's always a fun time to be there on opening day, even if it's like super crowded and stuff like that. It's still, there's like an energy at the park, and people who just love being there. That atmosphere is really kind of like fun to be around, and then you get to start spotting the different enthusiasts that you may recognize from like Instagram and like YouTube or whatever. And yeah, it's just a good time. I always enjoy it. So it's cool to meet you.
Yeah, for sure. With that being said, we're going to move on to our first Q&A session. So any questions any of you have in the chat, let me know. Notifications may be getting out a little slow, so I do see and recognize that. But with that being said, any questions you have in the chat, let us know, and we'll be able to answer them right here. But going back to Wonder Woman, yeah, I saw you there, and there were a few other people that I like recognized, but I didn't like know them super well. It's like I followed them on Instagram and I like see them post occasionally, so that was pretty cool.
Right.
Unfortunately, I meant to meet with Josiah from National Coasters. He got
Right.
there later.
You did. That's right.
And I had to leave early because I was doing that at the end of a big trip because I was flying back from LAX, and I was able to go there because that basically happened on the drive back. But that was definitely an interesting day for sure. Yeah, definitely was something pretty
It
different.
really was. I know he'd reached out to me too, and he was like, "Hey, are you going to be there? Are you going to be later?" And I was like, "Oh my gosh, I've been waiting for like 6 hours. And it's hot. I think we're just going to leave." And I think he actually pulled up into the parking lot like as I was leaving, because I was with a buddy of mine,
Nice.
a comedian friend of mine named Kellen Erskine. Shout out to Kellen if you're watching. And he was just like, he's like a relaxed enthusiast. How do I say that? He's a casual enthusiast. He focuses more on his stand-up, and so like this was also his first like event where waiting as long as we did, and he was just kind of like, I was like, please don't stop being an enthusiast after this. This isn't normal, But yeah, it was good times. I'm also gonna put on my socials that we're live now. Come on, everybody, let's post some Q&A.
For sure. Yeah, I was a little concerned because I know the time's a little unusual, especially because last time I had to do it really early because Northern Coasters is based in Denmark, and that's like 9-hour difference.
Holy crap. That's
so we had, what was it? Basically 11 a.m. PST is when we started, but we actually did get a good amount of viewers from outside of the US.
Really?
Simply because yeah, there's people who watch this stuff from the UK and other places, New Zealand actually.
Wow.
And so it was a convenient time for them.
They're like, finally, so that we can watch live.
Yeah.
All right.
So I mean that's pretty
Sent. Sorry, I
crazy.
didn't mean to be looking down. I just wanted to make sure I send it out, send some love to the stream. So I will now put my phone down. I guess what we can do is I've got my mini-me in the background. Here, wave, say hello. There he is.
Hello.
Enthusiast in the making. Guess what his new number one roller coaster is?
New number one.
Yes, he just rode it last week.
Oh, you just went on a trip, right?
I did.
Yeah. You did right. I don't think it's Shivering Timbers, but I'm gonna guess that's what it is.
It is. It's Shivering
Let's
Timber.
Go.
Yeah, like
I knew you went there, so I'm like, it might be.
His old number one was Revolution at Magic Mountain, and he also likes Ninja a lot, right, buddy? Okay.
Yeah.
And then, so the thing is, he kind of has a problem with like steep hills, and so I mean, he's ridden Twisted Colossus many times. He's ridden Apocalypse and Goliath and stuff like that. Well, Goliath is in a very steep drop, but so with the Shivering Timbers line, I don't know if you've ever been there to Michigan's Adventure or not, but when you're walking up, you can see the queue line's cool because it's got the sign and it's got the lift hill kind of right there, and you can see the lift hill, but you really can't see the drop. And so I purposely didn't say anything to him. I said, "Hey, look, there's no line. Isn't this great? There's no line." And I mean, literally, it was not even a station wait. It was like they were just waiting for us. Like if we purposely waited to get on the front row, just because I'd heard from El Toro Ryan that's like the better ride. And so then we waited about one cycle, and they were running 2 trains, and it was dead. 2 trains. And so then we got on it, and by the time we got to the very top, it was about to crest. I said, "Oh, by the way, this might be steep lift hill." And he's like, "What?" And what a ride, dude! Let me tell you, Shivering Timbers is really, really fun. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's honestly after riding Voyage, and I mean, obviously it's a little older, but still you can definitely see some inspiration that ride took from the Shivering Timbers. I definitely am super interested to ride that ride. It's so far out of the way.
It's such a weird place to get to. I was there 3 years ago during the pandemic when I was working out in Michigan doing some stuff, and I purposely drove out of my way to go look at it. It was 2 a.m. Obviously they weren't open, but I kind of made friends with a security guard there because I stopped and was like talking to a security guard. And I mean, I'm telling you, he was this close to just letting me go in and walk around. Cause he's like, "You're all over here from California. What are you doing?" And like, "Why are you here during the pandemic?" I was like, "Oh, just kind of talking." And he was like, "Man, if my boss just wasn't about to check in, man, I would walk you around." I said, "Just do it. So then I was like, just kept thinking about it. Cause obviously he let me drive into the parking lot. And the cool thing about Shivering Timbers is it's right at the parking gates, like where you go to Parc, where you go in, and it is like, it's an awesome entrance coaster. So I'm there at 2 a.m. just looking at it going one day. And here I was 3 years later, able to get on it and to ride it. And I definitely think, because, CCI, when it went away, right? Half the people went to GCI, and then the other people to Gravity Group, right? And so I bet you that the good folks that helped with Shivering Timbers went over to Gravity Group.
I would
Let's
talk about Wolverine Wildcat.
Oh, Wolverine Wildcat. You want to talk about Wolverine Wildcat? You want to talk about it? Here, come here.
That was
surprise guest. Here we go. Hold on.
Yep.
That was just a very rough ride. Very rough.
It actually might be my number 2 least favorite roller coaster of all time.
Wow, that's saying something. That bad.
It is bad. It's like, you hear the joke that Airtime Thrills always makes about triangle wheels. Like, holy cow.
Yes.
The first drop is not bad.
Smooth.
The first turnaround is fun. Then there's like a drop and then like an airtime hill. But after that, it's like,
it's just
like it's bad. And by like the final turnaround, I'm like laughing my head off because it was so bad. I was just laughing because that's all you could do. But what do you think, buddy?
It's pretty good.
Okay. All right.
That one had like a decent bit of, I mean, obviously Titan Track like 2 years ago, and I think there was some other track work they did for it relatively
There's Titan Track on
recently.
that?
On Wolverine Wildcat, in like
Really?
one section, yeah, there is Titan Track
No
on it.
way. I mean,
It's on like a drop, I think, or something.
it might be
Like,
the second drop then. So the first drop and then does a turnaround. Maybe that second, because that was pretty smooth. And I think that I did see some new wood timbers, on that section.
yeah.
Huh. But I'm telling you, like, you want to talk about, I mean, and I'll argue, maybe we'll do it later, not in the Q&A because we're still waiting for questions, but I will argue with anybody all day. That is the #1 candidate for an RMC. I don't care who you are. If I know it's Michigan's Adventure, but let me tell you, if they RMC'd Wildcats, whatever, Wolverine
Wildcat, yep.
Wolverine Wildcat, that it's perfect. It's the perfect candidate. It's actually a really beautiful setting. It's got a sort of interesting layout, and we've seen, especially with what they did with Wildcats Revenge, like, I think it would be cool. I think it could definitely, or a candidate for a complete Titan Track retrack as well. It's just something, but I still think that it would be, it would be a perfect RMC. And plus, because the RMCs are a little more cost effective for a park. I'm not saying that's cheap. That's the wrong word to say, but it's cheaper than a brand new ground up ride. So I think RMCing that with some iBox track would be legit.
Yeah, I definitely think it would be a very interesting project to see that for. At this point, there is, like I said, the one Titan Track section, so I feel like more likely than not, they're just going to continue to either Titan Track or do some other work on it. But
let's start a GoFundMe, because everybody says that they want an RMC here or an RMC there or whatever. Okay, bye, buddy. You really need one at Michigan's Adventure, and it's such a fun little park. You can tell that it's that it's small, and it's not that it's dirty or anything like that. And to say it's sad is like I think it's the wrong description to call it sad. It's more of just like, you can just tell that it's not as busy as it should be. Does that make sense? Like, yeah, things aren't updated, sure. It does feel a little bit neglected, but it's not that it's dirty or run down. I mean, for heaven's sakes, there's places at Magic Mountain that are like run down.
Oh, easily, for sure.
And
Yes.
I didn't see any of that at Michigan's Adventure, like, at all. I mean, the landscaping was great. There was a lot of concrete, but another thing that I noticed, and it's like, you may know this because you're a whiz kid with knowing some cool knowledge and stuff like that. It is either Roller Coaster Tycoon designer lived in Michigan and designed basically Roller Coaster Tycoon off of Michigan's Adventure, or Michigan's Adventure was designed off of Roller Coaster Tycoon. Dude, it is the ultimate Roller Coaster Tycoon park, like quintessential. I mean, the blocky entrance, it's like all like cinder blocks, like just blocky entrance. You walk in, it's got a corkscrew. Well, first of all, it's got a lake in the middle. It's got a corkscrew. It's got the Wild Mouse. It's got the wood coaster that's on the edge of the biggest coaster's on the edge of the park, and it has a little boat swing ride. It's called the Sea Dragon. Have you seen pictures of the Sea Dragon?
The one at Michigan's Adventure,
Yeah.
or like, no, I haven't.
Oh, it is adorable. We should pull it up in the stream if you can. It is like, it's like a dock going into their lake. It's like the queue is like basically a dock that goes way out and has this little island, and it's just the cute little Sea Dragon right over the water. Like, I'm telling you, that's
I see a picture. Hold up.
That is Roller Coaster Tycoon to a T. It's like they purposely built that to be over the water. It is so legit. It was closed when we were there, which is unfortunate. But
Rip.
But another cool thing is that you can the water park is included in which is really cool, and that's where most of the people were when we were there. We're at the water park because it was kind of hot. And I made my wife ride the SLC, and I just said no thanks. A fun story about that. So we're waiting in line for the SLC. It's like blistering hot for Michigan. It's like maybe 90 degrees, and we're waiting in line. There's like no shade in the queue for, it's called Thunderhawk, right?
Yep.
And my wife has never ridden an SLC, and in fact, fun fact, I've never ridden an SLC. We almost rode Kong at Discovery Kingdom.
I did that one.
Yeah,
So I can,
and we walked into the queue line, and they were coming down saying, no, we're closed. So that's the closest we've got. So she wanted to ride it, and I said, I'll skip it. So we're stinking hot. It's on one train operations. She's next to get on, and she's like, I'm going to ride it in the back. I said, maybe you should ride it in the middle. You know? And so we're waiting. She's next to get on. No joke. The train comes in. The girl in the back completely blacked out. She was gone. And so then when she came to, she threw up everywhere. I'm like, what an awesome advertisement for an SLC. My wife didn't think it was that bad. She's actually, because I told her, put your head forward and stuff like that. So she actually came off of going, it was there's no dead zones. She said it was like basically, but she said it wasn't as bad as people are saying that they are. But
I'd actually agree there. I've ridden Kong. I rode it a little closer to I rode it I think row 3 because I was like, no way I'm getting in the back, but I wasn't going to wait for a ton of cycles. So I just got a random row, whatever came up. And honestly, I kept my head forward and everything. It certainly wasn't smooth. Those rides are not smooth. There was a little bit of head banging, but I think the strategy ended up working out. I actually thought it was okay. It's not something that I would do over and over again, or probably even ride every time I go to Discovery Kingdom. But I didn't think it was as bad as people made it out to be. So I actually agree with that.
Yeah. Yep. One of these days, I guess I'll ride one. Just it wasn't that day. I've also never. Here's another fun fact, exclusive on Coaster Hour. I've never ridden a 4D free spin.
Oh, I only recently did one of those, so yeah. I was on that boat for a while.
Which one did you ride?
Batman the Ride at Discovery Kingdom. I sort of documented its construction, at least the one day I was there back in 2019. The video isn't very good, but you can find it if you want. It's it's pretty basic, and I was just there the one day, and it's oh, there's stuff going on, so whatever. And it was early in the channel days, but I got to ride it. Was it, I think, last year? Yes, I went there. I returned there last year. I actually was pretty impressed with it. The first sort of dive where you kind of go inward, depending on where you're positioned, it's pretty insane. You kind of get ejected going outwards. It's a pretty crazy moment. Huh. Yeah. I could see how it's not everyone's thing, but I actually thought it was pretty fun. But it probably varies a lot depending on how your vehicle, how the axis rotates as you're riding. Is probably going to make or break the ride. So.
Yeah. I mean, it's like one of those things where I've had an opportunity to ride so many. I just never have. My wife has run every single one that we've come across, and I don't know. I've just never been interested in riding one. I blame Airtime Mike. That's why.
We have our first question. Yeah, nice. Airtime Mike. I did meet him at Halloween Nights, actually. Shout out, but yeah, great guy. Do you think for the Northwestern United States could we see a B&M there in the next 10 years? So if you're talking Northwestern, are you talking Oregon and Washington? No, I don't think so, unfortunately. I would have a hard time seeing either of those states with the parks they have being willing to invest in something like that. It'd have to be something new pops up, or something really weird what's the park in Seattle, Wild Waves? They'd would have to change direction completely, which I don't find super likely.
If we're counting Northwest Idaho as the Pacific Northwest, Silverwood would probably be the best bet for one. Although it's hard to say because they're a precious little park, and they're great, by the way. I say precious in a very loving and endearing way. It is a fantastic little park. If they did get one, it would be probably a hand-me-down, but that doesn't happen very often with B&Ms. In fact, I don't think it's happened ever.
No, B&Ms have been relocated.
Have they?
Yeah.
But have they been Wolf
sold? Yes, actually. There was Goliath at Fiesta, Texas before it went. So it was originally It was actually from Japan, and then they relocated it to Six Flags New Orleans, and then they relocated it to Fiesta, Texas. So it's actually been relocated a few times over.
Okay,
But
so there you go. Frontier Coasters. If you consider Hayden, or actually it's called, what's it city called? No. I forget the name of the town, but north of Hayden, Idaho, if you consider that to be the Northwest, because it's only 30 minutes from Oregon, it's Washington. From Washington, for real. Spokane is really close. Then yeah, I would say Silverwood is probably the best bet. Now, within 10 years,
no, I don't. I would be surprised
unless something happened. Unless something like, I don't know, like somehow they got one from China, some big awesome one that then the Parc went out of business and China wanted to sell it. I don't know. 10 years. I don't know.
Yeah, I think you're right. It'd have to be a Parc would want to get rid of one, or a Parc would have to close, and then they could buy. Which honestly, for Silverwood, if an opportunity arose, I mean, they did it with Aftershock,
right?
And
with Corkscrew.
Yeah, Corkscrew, and then even obviously Stunt Pilot wasn't relocated, but there's talks that may have been for another park, and they just kind of got it.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, because obviously,
RMC is right there. So I'm sure they would have done something eventually, but there's been talk that there may have been some opportunity there.
Which is great, because Fred Grubb had great relations with that park anyway. So it's like, that's probably maybe that might be why they got first dibs on it, to be honest with you, because he probably went to him and said, "Hey, I got this ride. You want to try?" That's how he talks, by the way. Yeah. Oh, another question. Look at this. Alex Estrada.
What do we see Knott's Berry Farm getting next? Yeah, I'll let you go first with this.
Now, are we talking like beyond the Fiesta Village?
Yeah, probably beyond Montezuma, because obviously that's what they're doing.
And beyond getting Accelerator back open. Boy, that Giga stuff was cool, but I just knew it wasn't going to happen. But the thing is, it's here. I'm going to do a caveat to this answer. The Giga thing is possible. That layout that they put out is absolutely 100% legitimate. Could be done. It's just the neighborhood. It's not that there was not funds, or that there wasn't a will from Cedar Fair, Knott's Berry Farm to do it. It's just Buena Park that the neighbors were never going to allow that to happen. But what are they going to get next? Let's see. What do they need? And we're going to get into a little bit of rumors a little bit later on, so I'm not going to spoil the lead. But what do they need? They do well. They need a hyper and a Giga. That's what they need. I think that do you know what would be cool? I know it says what do you see Knox getting next, not what I want to get.
But you can, I would throw out what if you
maybe
have
another family coaster. Dream. I bet you what they're going to get next is maybe some sort of family coaster. But I think what would be great would be an Axis coaster, because it's compact and it could fit within their landlocked little area. And I say landlocked, they have a whole north parking lot that is just unused. That if they could get permission to go under or over, I mean, the sky's the limit there. But I would love to see an Axis, but I think they're probably going to get some sort of family coaster. I think that Cedar Fair is probably paying attention to what's going on with Vekoma, especially the success of the family Vekomas that have gone to Dollywood. I could see a family Vekoma doing well at Knott's. Where it would go, I don't know. But I think it could do well. What do you think?
Yeah, family Vekoma, really of any sort, probably just besides. The only problem is they haven't really so much. The capacity could be an issue with those, but I mean, they have Accelerator and they have some other rides that are not the highest capacity, so I don't think it'd be anything that would turn them away. But certainly, Vekoma suspended coaster, or even something more elaborate like a something, I don't know what they could do that would be like similar to like a Big Bear Mountain, like one of those multi-launch ones. But
yeah,
something like that could totally make sense for sure.
It's so funny. It kind of goes back to the when people were upset that West Coast Racers and was going into Magic Mountain, because they're like, well, we already have a racing, coaster that does a hi-fi element and all that sort of stuff. I'm like, so are we not allowed to build rides that do the same things? Let's Knott's Berry Farm has like 3 launch coasters.
That's fair. That's true. That's fair. Yeah. I mean, only one right now, but
True. Well, no. Well, that's true. That's true. Only one, the best one. No, but you know what I mean. It's like, come on, like, so we no longer build rides that have lift hills. Wait, this park's already got a loop. Can't do any more loops, guys. Sorry. But yeah, that's my answer. I mean, I'd love seeing Knott's getting the love that it is getting with the Fiesta Village. I need to make it down there to go check that out. It looks just stunning. Like they just really knocked it out with that retheming. Yeah, hopefully Montezuma starts cranking. I really don't know what happened there, but we can get into that a little bit later. But yes.
Yeah, that project hopefully gets rolling pretty soon. Yeah.
I see what you did there. It gets rolling.
Yeah, we don't I don't know. Like you said, I have no idea what the heck is going on there, but hopefully it all gets resolved and everything. So, and it will. Just give it time. Yeah. But for like, what would I like see Knott's getting next?
Yeah, what would you like if you could wave a wand? What would you see?
Something within like kind of man, I think something that would be. We were the Hyper and Giga talk. I know is like and I'm not even necessarily saying a Giga, but a lot of people, I think if you bring up Hyper or Giga, everyone kind of goes to B&M. Usually is kind of the main manufacturer. And after kind of seeing now, I guess they could do like something that goes over neighborhoods and stuff. And I don't know how the land works exactly. But the new mock hyper coaster at Thorpe Park looks like it'll be relatively compact, all things considered. And I'm kind of like, that would be something that something like that I think would be pretty cool and pretty interesting to see at Knott's Berry Farm. But that's pretty much a pipe dream. I don't really see that happening.
Well, this is the pipe dream segment. No, that's a good point though. That would be cool because because it does have a super steep lift hill, but then also the drop, twisting over itself and kind of being more or less almost 90 degrees, but in a way, it's not 90, but you know what I mean? Like it's a much steeper drop that can allow for still the height, but a much smaller footprint. That would bring so much attention to Knott's Berry Farm. I mean, any Giga would, but I was kind of hoping, here's my hope. Like if they did get that B&M Hyper, Magic Mountain would have to respond. They would have no. Think about it. They would have no choice. You're right.
Yep.
They would have no
absolutely.
Choice, especially with what's coming to Universal, which I'm sure again I don't want to jump on. Oh, it looks like somebody. Asked that question, but they would have to respond. And I said the only way that Magic Mountain could properly respond to a B&M Giga would be a Intamin Giga, a la Hyperion. Oh, can you imagine that at Magic Mountain?
Yeah, that would be that would be insane. That really would be something. I guess this is something, the fact that Cedar Fair kind of was looking into this with like some of the things we'll talk about later. Now, I guess X2 exists, but it's a very different type of coaster, but depending on how it worked, I could see, and this is not even something I would like. I think it'd be cool if it would be fine if they put it in, but perhaps a B&M wing or something at Knott's might make sense.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah.
Especially, and I like the idea, especially like the launched wing, which is kind of what Cedar Fair's put out in surveys. I'm kind of like, that would be kind of interesting to see there. So.
Right? Didn't they just do that for Canada's Wonderland? Right? They were.
Yes. Yep. We'll get into.
Yeah,
that,
I know. Yeah. I'm like.
No, it's fine. Sorry, I brought it up, so I like kind of like I kind of was mentioning that anyways, but I think something like that for Knott's Berry Farm actually be interesting, and especially because Knott's is pretty good with theming. I'd be curious what theme they would go with the ride and what they could do for head choppers. I think they might be able to pull off some pretty cool stuff there too. So
Yeah, that'd be really, really cool. It does a near miss through the Montezuma's temple. No, it does a near miss through the top hat of accelerator. Oh, that'd be cool.
yeah, that would be something for sure.
All right, sorry, your loyal viewers are asking questions. I'm sorry, I'm taking all the time.
I've never ridden either an old gen or new gen Enterprise. I actually just skipped out on a new gen one, unfortunately, at Kentucky Kingdom. I forgot it was there until I walked past it like 30 minutes before closing, and I'm like, oh, I kind of wish I had done that earlier, but I need to get to Lightning Run now, so that's not happening.
Well, that's so funny. I Frontier Coasters, I thought you were talking about Captain Kirk, or
Oh my
talking
God.
about, Strange New World. So super sorry, man. I was gonna say, I haven't seen Strange New World yet, or Bold. No, wait, is it Strange New World? No, it's Bold New.
No, it is Strange New Worlds. The only
Strange-
reason I know is, funnily enough, my mom decided to start watching that.
But I did. I guess we could consider what's old gen. I mean, I love the Next Generation. I loved Deep Space Nine. Never watched Enterprise. No, I don't know. I don't know if I've ridden a new gen one. I'm not typically a flats guy. I get vertigo pretty bad now on coasters. If people who know who I am and who watch my show will know that that's kind of what's been happening to me recently. So I kind of like to live vicariously through the other enthusiasts. So I create a show. But when I'm going to a park, I really have to just like prioritize, like, what do I want to ride? Like, for example, just in Michigan's Adventure, I was like, listen, if I can get Shivering Timbers, I'll be happy. And I was able to ride Shivering Timbers and Wolverine Wildcat, and then the Mad Mouse, which is really cool, by the way.
Yeah.
Mad Mouse is pretty cool.
I've heard that one's good.
I was very impressed with it. It had so much airtime that my kid, like, his legs came up, and like basically it was like that lap bar only kind of like airtime. Was cool.
Yeah, I've heard that one runs quite a bit better than Psycho Mouse over at CGA too. Also, so
Are they the same? Because it felt better.
They're both Aero Mice. I believe their layouts are about the same, but yeah, the one I've heard the other two outside of Psycho Mouse, they just run quite a bit better. And I already enjoy Psycho Mouse honestly quite a bit, but I'm interested to see how those ones are. So
I had a bad experience on Psycho Mouse at CGA. It might have been because the line was super long, and then like I was just so disappointed in all the graffiti that was like present in the queue line. I was like, what in the heck? Like, even on the Coke machines and stuff, just like like not only graffiti but like vulgarity and stuff. And I'm like wanting my kid. What's CGA? What in the world? Come on, man. Do better, CGA. Clean up your. Have you been? The queue line for like Gold Striker, like
I don't remember it sticking out in such a way. Granted, the last time I went was 2019, so I don't know if you've been more recently, but that would have been the last time I went to CGA.
I was there 2 years ago.
That could be it, because I know they've been having, just based off like Reddit and whatnot, and there's like a few people I kind of follow with that park. I know there's been issues with, parks in general, but especially that one. There's been a lot more sort of, probably more unruly teens, really is the best way to say it.
Yeah.
So I do know that's been an issue, so that doesn't surprise me, and that could have been something that popped up more recently, and they just haven't gotten to it. Or maybe they have by now, but who knows?
I hope so, because it did surprise me, because I was there the year prior to 2 years ago. So 3 years and 2 years, and it was fine. And then like obviously then we go, and we've always gone on Christmas. So it's like we went on Christmas. Was it 29? What was the first year of the P word that we're not supposed to say that affected the entire world? And it rhymes with Ovid.
2019.
So it was 2019 is when we went. And then I went again when they opened back up. So what was that? That was 2022, 2023, 2022. Yeah. So, and then I was just like, graffiti was everywhere. And vulgar drawings.
Dang.
It's just like, come on. I mean, it's like, I don't know. Anyway.
Hopefully that's been fixed up. The other thing too is my visits, I think both times I went were well, one time was in July, so that's not early in the season. The other one was like in probably May, so pretty early in the season. So that may have also been it as well. I've wanted to I'm technically closer to there than any of the other major parks.
Right.
But it's like a 10-mile difference between that and Magic Mountain, and I'm sorry, there's really no contest between picking between the two of them.
Sure.
So it's kind of like, and it's already like a 2.5 to 3 hour drive to either of them anyway. So it's like I would just rather go to Magic Mountain. I do feel kind of bad though, especially with the sort of fate that it'll seemingly eventually have. But we'll see what happens.
They built that new land. They opened
that was pretty odd. I am kind of like, okay, that certainly raised some eyebrows for sure.
And then everybody from the peanut gallery is like, well, maybe they had that approved beforehand. It's like, do you know how easy it is to cancel something? Just as easy it is to, it's easy to cancel something.
Yeah, that's a good point for sure.
So very odd. I mean, who knows? Maybe this new owner will be like, yeah, we'll keep it operating as a park, and we're just going to take maybe sections of the backstage and build our storage units or something like that. I don't know. Or maybe they'll like retheme it to be all 49ers themed, and so it'll be like, Levi's the ride, Steve Young the ride, Jerry Rice.
At least Gold Striker is already covered. At least that one they don't have to change.
That's true.
that one was already kind of. That one literally opened a few years after they got that. They announced that anyways, and that was a whole situation. But yeah, pretty interesting there. I guess back to the Enterprise question. I've wanted to do these rides, and I like to do like unique flat rides when I come across them. It just kind of comes down to like whether I have time or not, really, because I'm not to like your extent, but I'm not like the biggest flat ride person either. But that's more just out of, I just mostly prefer coasters. There's some rides that can get me dizzy or like a little motion sick. Although at this point, I've kind of found that my tolerance is definitely increased since the early days, but I know at some point it's not going to be that way. So.
Well, no, I've been told that it's like any other muscle, that if you have a lot of practice, that your tolerance can be maintained. For example, Theme Park Obsession, his grandmother, she rides and she's up there. So I mean, it's awesome. I think mine is just some sort of predisposed thing. It makes me sad. But I'll just do one more thing on the Enterprise thing and we can go to the next question. But I think the best Enterprise that I've ridden is at Lagoon back in the day. I think it's called a Centennial Screamer, I think. That's a good one. And if it's not an Enterprise, then I apologize, but I think it is. Let me Google it real quick.
I would not know about that one. So yeah, Centennial Screamer, that is indeed an old style Enterprise. So yep.
Huss, good old Huss. Okay. That was fun. But I mean, again, I wrote it when I was in high school, which I will not tell you the year, but yeah. Well, not even high school, middle school. Yep.
That was your old home park, right?
It was for many years. Yeah. I used to live in a suburb of Salt Lake City called South Jordan. Shout out to my South Jordan homies. And my dad was a teacher up there, and every year they would, Lagoon would have a teacher like appreciation day, and teachers with their families could come. And that's the only time I'd ever go. Obviously, we grew up very humble. And so I would go, once a year. And believe it or not, I'm a very late bloomer when it comes to roller coasters. I didn't ride a roller coaster until I was, I want to say in the 9th grade. And it was only because the girl that I had crush on.
Yep. I remember hearing that in the podcast.
And I hated every second of it, but I pretended like I was the greatest thing in the world. But I was like, no, this is going to be good.
It was, but I remember it was like the first coaster we rode was like one that if I remember, it wasn't Colossus.
Puff the Little Fire Dragon was technically the first roller coaster. Okay. It's a little teeny kiddie ride. I think it might be an EF Miler, but Then I rode Roller Coaster, which is their wooden coaster. That was kind of like my first big coaster. And then my first steel coaster with inversion was, Colossus the Fire Dragon. So it's all lagoons were my first steel, first wood, first inversion. La 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 la. Yeah. Good old lagoon.
Yep.
It's a good park. Have you been there?
I have not. I've wanted to because it's like
Cannibals is good.
Yeah, I know. I want to go whenever they get Primordial open.
You should try to get on the media list.
There's no way at this point. Like, it.
You're right, Mason. You're right. Well, let's move on.
Move on to the next question.
I know I talk too much. Again, apologize. I talk too much.
You're good, but that it's. I have other sort of plans, but I mean it does seem like a great park for sure.
It is.
Will Universal Studios Hollywood get a second theme park? No. They're like maybe you know more about this than I do, but it's my understanding that like a lot of the studio space it's like being moved, and so the idea is to probably use it for other park development for the current park they have. I don't see a second park coming there anytime soon.
Yeah, Mason, I would want to clarify your question, because if you do mean like a second theme park as in like off-site somewhere in Southern California, or do you mean like a new land a la the Super Nintendo world? Because just like Carrick had said, I do work in the film industry, and I do know that sound stages take up the majority of the lot there. And as the industry sort of moves to be, I guess you don't need to have big, massive sound stages anymore. Because the reason why they were so massive, so you could build big sets and have lots of light. Now, technically, yes, there are still movies that do need that. But you can get a lot away with a lot of things now using not only green screen or any sort of purple screen is a new thing that just came out, by the way. A lot of things that are now that monitors are so high def now that they will build practical sets, and then behind it, rather than putting in a blue screen or a green screen, they'll actually have a high definition, ultra high definition screen with some background on it as well. And the cool thing about that is the light coming off of that will be true to what the background is supposed to be. So the lighting off the faces of the actors when they're interacting with monitors is great. So you don't have to have all these lights kind of recreating like I'm doing with this light right here. Natural light. So Gravity, if you haven't seen Gravity with Sandra Bullock in it, this was one of the very first ones to use this technology. And it was great because they could have monitors of space be really close to her face. And that way you were getting realistic reflections of Earth off of her helmet, which before would have probably had to been, composited in with virtual, CGI. But in this case, it was an actual legitimate reflection. It was cool, super cool technology. But he did clarify. He said, no, like he means like Island of Adventure. There just isn't the real estate for it unless they bought the golf course, which is across the LA River from them. So Universal Studios Hollywood is built kind of on a hillside, and then the LA River kind of cuts through it. And then there's a really beautiful golf course there. If they bought that, then they could do another land. But I mean, the thing is, it's Southern California. It's so expensive.
Yeah.
I'm not that Universal couldn't afford it. It's just I just don't think that the golf course would sell. That makes sense. So if anything, like Carrick was saying, I think they'll expand out. They've moved a lot of new sound stages that are more condensed. Kind of like you see these new homes being built where they just said, hey, we don't need yards. Let's just build multiple houses on a lot. Kind of what they're doing with the sound stages. They're moving them over to an old parking lot, building them big but a little more condensed. And so they can open up. That's why Super Nintendo Land was able to be built. And that will probably continue to keep happening. They'll retire their old sound stages, build the newer ones, and go from there. But a separate property, I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean that's that's more in depth and better than really I could explain it. So for the same reasons as Ambassador just echoed, I would definitely agree there that they probably wouldn't get one.
Yeah, I mean, I can get why he's saying it too, because Universal has kind of like expanded with these micro little parks that I guess the experiences that they're doing. The one in Vegas is going to be super cool, and the one in Texas is going to be cool. That could be possible. Like maybe if they found some land down in Orange County or something like that, or maybe even like I don't know, near Bakersfield or something like that. I know Baker's kind of weird, but it's still off of 2 major freeways. I mean, you know, that's a possibility. Who knows?
Maybe Fresno, please.
Yeah,
I
please,
beg.
Fresno. It could be oil rig and corn themed.
Don't forget the raisins.
Wow, that's true. That's true.
Yeah, raisins and almonds.
Come check out Almond Tree, the virtual ride. Yay! Yay!
Yeah.
Now Fresno's great if you drive just a couple of hours east. Beautiful. Sierra's
Dang.
beautiful. No, I like it up there. That's a nice area. Okay, moving on. What do we got next? Here we go.
Do you think Silver Dollar City could add like sort of okay, I understand this own like a version, their own take sort of on Wildwood Grove. I have not been to the park, so I don't know if it's something they would need or be interested in, but I would say if that's something they are in the need for, or something that would interest them, then sure. I think it'd probably be a good idea. Some new modern family stuff, that'd be nice.
Yeah, I think it would be good because Wildwood Grove has really been successful for Dollywood, and you know, I'm going to try to go to Silver Dollar City this Christmas. Believe it or not, I'm trying. I think if I remember right, I'd have to look it up and I don't want to waste any time on it, but I think they built kind of a new area right in the middle of Silver Dollar City that's more kind of like a relax zone. If I remember right, they've added some like rocking chairs and kind of an area just to kind of like chill out because it's an interesting layout, you know, kind of like hilly and stuff like that. And I could see them maybe dabbling into a Wildwood Grove kind of area, like for those kiddos that, you know, maybe are tired of walking around. And yeah, I actually think that's a great question. I think they could. They've got the real estate for it.
Oh yeah, they seem to have quite a bit of land, so
Yeah.
for sure. I think I would honestly, that's a good idea. I think that could be certainly something that comes in the future. I do like that, Frontier Coasters. You should try the Alan Herschel Mad Mouse. They have no restraints. Yeah, there's like, like how many
Who doesn't
of
have
those
restraints?
out there?
The ride doesn't have restraints, or Alan Herschel doesn't have restraints.
The ride doesn't. It's a very old. Oh, but I mean, how many of those exists anymore?
I don't
Like
even know.
one, maybe.
I don't pride myself in being like the coaster like historian. I'm just like the coaster.
Yeah, Little America
Enjoyer.
has one. If there's any others out there, I would not remember, to be honest. But I assume that's the last one left.
Oh, Little America, is that the one that does the spiral? Is that what he's talking about? No, that's a toboggan. That's a toboggan.
No. That's the toboggan, which that's its own cursed thing. But no, they do have a Mad Mouse, and yeah, it doesn't have any restraints. I remember, I think Canopy Coaster, I saw his video on that park, and
Shout out to Canopy Coaster.
yep, great
That's
YouTuber.
legit. The guy's legit. Like during my little, you know, welcome back ambassador thing that we did, he was like in freaking Australia. at
Yeah,
Orphan
I saw
Rocker.
that.
And, like what a mensch, dude. That guy was wow, super cool. Super cool. I don't see this little man. Oh, okay. Oh wait, yeah, that's right. It kind of has a clamshell that kind of comes down over you. I think I've seen that.
Yeah, it looks interesting. I'll say that much.
All
The
right.
park in general, it's like more of a little stop kind of place, but it looks kind of neat. I mean, it's not, I think, that far of the way from like Mount Olympus, so I guess if you're going there, you might as well hit this up. So
Yeah, I wish I would. I went to Mount Olympus in 2020 when it was the only park in the entire country that was open.
U.S. Open, yep.
So we went. But we didn't go to Little America. Should have. I would have loved to have gone up there and then also going to Zip and Pippin and all that stuff, but I just didn't make it up there.
Zip and Pippin, I think, is actually a little far
Much
out of the
further.
way.
Yeah, it's up
yeah.
But if you're gonna go, if you're in Wisconsin,
If you're in the area, you might as well, for sure.
the reason why I went to Michigan's Adventure, we just happened to be in Petoskey. if you're in Petoskey, Michigan, you gotta go down to Muskegon. You gotta.
Yep, same sort of reason. I was in Muncie, Indiana in 2022. That's why I went to Kings Island and Holiday World.
Yeah.
I Indiana Beach was actually technically the closest park to us, and I've been in Indiana twice now, and I still haven't went because I'm waiting for that for American
Triple
Drew looping. Which honestly, it's been taking so long. If it doesn't open ever, I wouldn't be surprised. I know they're doing their best, and it seems like things are moving in the right direction. But
Yeah.
it's. I mean, that was a massive endeavor to even try to save it. So,
Nice.
I mean, I don't know if that one. I don't know when I'm getting that to that park, but hopefully, regardless, they're able to get that open.
Hey, you and I are the same. I have family in Indiana, like an hour from Indiana Beach.
Wow.
And we go out there at least once a year to hang out with them. Sometimes twice a year, we go hang out with them. And I'm always like, can we please go to Indiana Beach? And like, that place is a dump. I go, when was the last time you were there? Like the 90s? Like, dude, no, it's changed. Please let me go. But I'm never there. Like, I'm always like, with family. So it's like, I can't just be like, hey, I'm going to go run to grab some milk from the store. Like I'm going, yeah. I'll get there. I think my wife's on board now. I think she'll go. But they my in-laws are always like, the place is a dump. I'm like, you haven't been since 1995? Like, they've got dryer looping now. There we go. German lesson for everybody. It's dryer looping, which means 3. Dryer of 3. Dry means 3, but when you're saying 3 of 3 loops, you put it in ER. Anyway, German lesson for the day. German over.
Yep. Similar situation. Family in Atlanta. I had been multiple times. Had not gone to Over Georgia until my last visit. So, in 2022. So, similar thing there. Do we think that Legoland California, which I don't know if I can exactly recommend it because it's pretty pricey, but it's a fun place. For sure. If you ever find yourself there, it's definitely a cool place. Went there in 2017, but yeah, they have some cool stuff. Will they ever build a major coaster? I don't think they have much of. I wouldn't know their space situation, but I don't think they have much there. And I don't think they can build very tall. Just kind of, I remember going in, you could like hardly see it, and I assume that's intentional. So I assume they might have some height limit there because like they don't have very tall structures there at all. So
Well,
unfortunately, I doubt it.
Do any Legolands have a big tall coaster? I mean, I know that the one in Germany got a B&M
wing
coaster, but
which
it's
is
not tall. But it's not
That's
tall.
true. That's true. But I don't know if they could put something like that in to
don't know.
Legoland
My
California.
mother-in-law works at Legoland, California. So
Okay.
luckily, that's why we've been so many times, is we get in for free 99, which is great. It is very expensive. And she did say, and she's frustrated as anyone else because she's like a super OG roller coaster enthusiast, that she would love to see something going in there because they took out Joust, which was like the Kuka arm challenge, which she had always thought was so weird anyway. Like here you're in this Legoland park for kids, and all of a sudden they got this like ride that like the like I can't remember what the minimum height requirement was, but it was like something like 54 inches or something like that. And it's like, these kids can't even like, what is this just for the adult? Like, what is this? Why is this here? And she always was so angry with that ride. And so when they recently took it out, she had hope that they would probably replace it with something there. So we'll see. I mean, I don't know. They kind of don't have very much real estate either, but they just recently reopened, was it Lego Movie World?
Yeah, I believe so.
Which used to be like a weird like self-propelled like bicycle style like monorail roller coaster thing, which was not that great. So we'll see. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, that's a great question. I'll ask my mother-in-law and I'll report back.
Yeah, that would be a good one. I'd love to see it. It'd be fun to see. I mean, I don't care what it is, whether it's like something like that. I mean, I doubt it, but a B&M wing, like mini wing, would be kind of cool. Something like a gravity group of some sort, like Oscar's Wacky Taxi, like anything like that would be
Is that at
amazing to
Legoland?
see.
I thought that was at Sesame Place.
It was, but they do have a Coastersaurus,
Yeah, Coastersaurus. Yeah, I mean,
which
Coastersaurus is fun.
Coastersaurus at Florida, which is at least a wooden coaster. So at least they have something. But
We'll see. I mean, for being the West Coast, I don't think it's their flagship park, but I mean, in the United States, obviously their flagship park is going to be in like Denmark, but I don't know. I mean, it's a great location, but it is landlocked.
I think they do treat it as their, at least for the between it and Florida, although now Florida has a second park, so I don't know. I think they do kind of treat it as such because, although maybe this isn't the best thing to go off of, but my brother was in Lego Robotics, and at one of the big competition for like the best teams was at Legoland, California.
Okay.
So maybe
Beautiful location. It's right there in Carlsbad, right close to the ocean. Right as you're pulling up, they've got like this massive. You pick if you go the right time of year, a big strawberry field where it's like pick your own strawberries. Right, like as you're pulling in, which is cool. Shout out to the strawberry people. It's fun. But yeah, I'd like to see what is invested there. Like, I'll tell you what I'd like for them to take out at Legoland, California, is that play structure, like the wolves versus wolves versus.
That I would not know. I don't know Legoland that well.
It's basically it's like one of the corners. It's basically just the play structure, like a big play. No, don't get me wrong. It's an awesome play structure, big and cool and slides and like things like that. But you look at what like SeaWorld did at SeaWorld San Diego. They had that that big play structure thing, which was cool. But then they've just recently replaced it with kiddie flats and stuff like that, which to me makes more sense. So it was like wolves versus like in the chat. Anybody know wolves versus?
If someone does, that would be a
like
miracle.
Bears versus the wolves or something like that, and it was like
Oh wait, are you talking about the? I think it might be the Chima stuff. I don't. You might not know what that IP is.
No,
it's
I do know what that is. No, that's not what
Okay.
it was. It was themed to like you were like an actual wolf on one side, and then it was like wolves, and then it was like the other side's like we're bears, and then it's like because it was like wildernessy kind of.
Okay.
And it was don't get me, it was a really cool play structure, but I think the point is it's like why would you spend $80+ to go and have your kids play on a play structure? Do you know what I mean?
Fair point. That's a fair point.
So it's like I think that they could easily take that out and put something cool back there. I think that they could put that same B&M wing coaster there. That'd be cool. Bring B&Ms back to California is what I say. Bring B&Ms back to California.
I mean, we did get Emperor, but I have not ridden it, and I'm admittedly not a dive coaster guy, so
yeah, I've only ridden Chikra. I mean, Chikra's fine. Chikra is fun.
I did Valraven, and I got stapled, and I was unimpressed. So yeah. That's about my thoughts on B&M dive coasters. I'm sure I'll get a better rides on some, and I am intrigued to ride Emperor because it is like you go through it all in one go. There isn't a mid course, so that does appeal to me a little bit, but. I haven't been there. I think since I did the trip where I went to Legoland, so I am missing literally everything except Manta and Journey to Atlantis. Those are the only two coasters I've done there. Everything else is brand new, except I wouldn't count Tidal Twister as a credit because I don't count powered coasters as credits. But I probably would still check it out anyways.
I haven't been down there either. I haven't been down there in forever.
Oh wow!
I've got Manta. I've got Electric Eel. Electric Eel is the newest coaster at the time when I was there.
It was under construction when I was there.
So yeah, it's been longer for you. I mean, it was. I like SeaWorld San Diego. It's just I just don't get down there very often. I've actually been looking into seeing if you can legitimately take the train there. I know you can take the train to pretty much downtown San Diego, and I was seeing that they have like a metro kind of line that sort of stops nearby. And I want to see if I can do that. I might do that for a future vlog or something like that. Just taking the train to San Diego. If I don't get stabbed by a homeless person on the train, we'll see.
It can't be that bad.
When was the last time you were in LA riding a train?
Oh, well, in LA. Okay. I was like, I thought you were. I mean, I guess you'd have to go from LA to San Diego, so that's fair.
You'd have to make a transfer. Like if I, because I live in Valencia by Magic Mountain, if I took my train station here, I'd have to take it to LA Union and then switch to get on what's known as the Surf Liner that goes down to San Diego.
All right, fair enough. I have not done it, so I cannot say.
We don't want to upset the chat. We'll move on. Come to LA, everybody.
Yeah, I mean, I'll admit, not exactly a city I want to live in. But
Valencia is nice. Valencia's a nice little pocket up here.
Yep, Santa Clarita is nice. Always a great stop.
Parc's
Bros is in the chat. Let's go.
Oh, he had the same idea as me.
Hey, that's pretty nice.
Yeah, dude. Drew, let's do it together. I haven't seen Drew in a while. That we need to make up for that, and I think riding the train would be legit. There's a 20-minute bus ride. Yeah, I've heard. I did see that there was a bus that drops you off pretty close. I just wanted to see if there was a train, but I think it's like a 40-minute. No, I don't even know. Somebody knock on the door. Go open it then. Sorry, somebody knocked on my door. I'll be right back.
You'll be right back. Already. Nice to see you, Drew, here in the chat. I think once Ambassador gets back, we went through all the questions. And so I think we're going to go do the news once that's ready. But like I said, nice to see you here in the chat, Drew. I guess any last questions, if you want to put them in chat, we can do that. And then if not, we'll move on to the news segment, which... If you haven't been here in a while, I have changed how it's done a little bit, so you'll kind of see how that goes once Ambassador returns. But that should be the plan. Thanks to all of you for joining. I know that the timing of this is a little unusual, especially for those of you who watched the last stream. But yeah,
sorry for that. The neighborhood kids were pranking my son. Good times.
Oh, door ditch or whatever.
Well, not a doorbell ditch, but let's just say there was some twerking being done once the door was open, which was fun.
All right.
But yeah, no, for real, I did look into it. I would love, Drew. Let's do it. Let's get Carrick to take a train from Fresno down here, and we'll all go to San Diego via the train. That'd be fun.
Yes. So I know, Drew, it's been a while, but we've talked about this. I should have been more communicative, but I know you just restarted the Loopy Dudes podcast, so I was aware of that. I do need to get back into watching it, but yes, I would love to have you both on the show. And we can talk about that at some point after. This will probably be the last stream I do for a little bit because my schedule does get busy. I'm going to Portland in like about 2 weeks, basically ish, and doing some stuff over there. So like there's some other stuff going on, but definitely I would love to bring you both on. So and I'm happy to hear that you're still interested in that. You and Mario, so of course.
And then I'll address it too. Loopy Dudes always have seats at the table, so always, and you know that, Drew, forever. And Mario, half a heart. For sure. I just gotta wait again. For those who don't know, my entire house has been like under construction for like since April because of some water damage and things like that, and then a shady company that came and rebuilt everything incorrectly. So then we had to like wait and blah, 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 blah. But it should be done by this weekend. And I can finally, my studio that I built has all of our living room in there. So I haven't been able to do any shows on my own from the Enthusiast Roundtable. But probably next week, 2 weeks, we'll start booking guests and everybody's welcome. Coaster Hour's welcome. Anybody's welcome. Except for who wouldn't I not welcome? Probably Vladimir Putin, even though the numbers. Think about the numbers that you would get.
Oh, God.
Show.
I think I would still pass.
Think about the numbers.
Nah, I think I'd still pass.
Kanye West is available.
Oh boy. That would be something. I just realized I had the news ticker just going the last
It's all
few
good.
minutes.
People
Oh well.
but what it does is it's people going, it's going to say something soon. There's going to be news.
There's gonna be news. I think with that being said, I think we've answered all the questions in the chat for now. I did say Frontier Coasters. Yes, Arnold's Park does have one of those Wild and Ice. I forgot about that. But yes, they do have one of those. Also a bit of a weird park to get to. But on that note, we're going to head into the news. So we have 6 news topics to roll through. So for those who are unfamiliar with the news, or unfamiliar with how it's been in the last few episodes, it's a little different, less segments, but hopefully more of a discussion with each one was kind of the hope with that. But for our first thing, we have our ride openings. Nothing too like huge, and we also have some ride reopenings. But for our ride openings, we do have Big Dipper at Blackpool Pleasure Beach. It just reopened after its refurbishment for its 100th anniversary, which it is celebrating this year, 100 years old for this classic wooden coaster. Very impressive. Obviously, great job to get it refurbished for its 100th anniversary. It's been closed for several months, so you love to see the work go into that. Tigris and Tempesto, the premier Skyrocket 2s at SeaWorld, at the SeaWorld parks, they have reopened following some sort of month-long closure, which was due to something that happened on Electric Eel that we don't really know the full details of, but that's still under investigation. But these 2 are open. A new flat ride, first of its kind flat ride model from Technical Parc has opened at a park in France called Parc des Combes. The coaster is called the Toucans, basically. And it's basically like a sort of tower swing ride mixed with a flying scooters. So very interesting there. And then last but certainly not least, Aurora Flying Coaster, which if you've seen the POV from Mia P.A. Missane, it is quite the contraption. This Golden Horse Flying Coaster, it mixes a Flying Dutchman and a B&M Flyer. So out of these, Ambassador, which of these intrigued you the most?
Oh, I would say probably Big Dipper and Tigris Tempesto. I mean, flying scooters are fun, but again, like, I don't know, it's just something about flat rides that just make me feel sick. But it is fun to snap those and stuff like that. Now, here's the thing about Aurora Flying Coaster from Jinma Rides, but we still call them Golden Horse. Why'd they change it? Golden Horse sounds so cool.
Golden Horse, Jinma actually stands for it, or not stands for. It means Golden Horse.
Really? It
like
does?
in Chinese.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
I learned
Little known
that.
fact.
Thank you very much. But I'm just gonna call them Golden Horse regardless, even if it meant something else. I think it's legit to say. I don't like flying coasters. I like kind of what they did, where they kind of combined the best of the Dutchman and with the B&M flying models. I think the starting on your back, the Light-a-Fly is a better way to go, especially in the brake run. I guess it's not so cool if there's blazing sun, on your back in the brake run. So that could be easily solved with shade. But I mean, you've been on flying coasters before, Tots and stuff like that, and you're in that brake run and you're just sitting there face down, and like your blood is like running down to your eyeballs, and like you can see all the previous puke stains on the brake run underneath you from previous riders that's just baking in the sun too and just wafting towards you. Like, I hate sitting in that brake run on those flying models. So that's, I think, that what Vekoma did with their fly model, having you go to a sitting position, is so smart. But I guess I would try it once. Watching the POV was kind of legit. That pretzel loop looked like, man, it would probably be death.
Yeah,
it just looked like it had like the
pretty
biggest pothole ever.
Yeah, that looked bad.
But who knows? Maybe it would chiropractically align your spine beautifully. Who knows? But I think it'd be something that'd be interested to at least see. I love the China coasters. I really just love that they're just like, we will spend all of this money building these things and no one will ride them, but we're going to theme them and they look great. You know what I mean? It's just so crazy. China's nuts right now with coasters, but I don't know. I like classic Woodies, and I don't find the Skyrocket 2 models to be that bad. I actually think they're kind of fun.
Agreed there.
Yes, I know that the premier trains are weird to get into, and I'm the perfect height where comfort collars don't bother me at all, and I 100% know that it's because of how tall I am. It's like I'm like the Goldilocks height, doesn't do anything, doesn't hurt, doesn't do anything for me. So I don't want to take away from somebody else's experience who it bothers them, but I think they're fun. I have not ridden Superman, the one that doesn't have that one that's just lap bars only. I have not done that one, but having done full throttle, I would imagine, that would be much better, especially in that like inline twist thing or whatever that it does at the very top. It would be crazy if you didn't have the comfort collars. It'd be crazy. But yeah, I would think if I had to choose any of these to do, and we took the location out of it, because I'd love to go to China and check that out, I think it would probably be Big Dipper.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I love classic wooden coasters. So seeing Blackpool, put in the effort to refurbish it and make it look very nice and everything for its 100th, probably also some other work went into it.
Yeah.
Certainly a cool one for sure. And interesting you say you haven't done Superman Ultimate Flight. That's the only Premier Skyrocket 2 I've done. So
so you don't even know. Yeah, I've done Tigris and I've done Electric Eel. And I think I liked Electric Eel a little bit better than Tigris. But they're cool. I think they're fun for what they are. I really do. The capacity is not that great, but I still think they're a lot of fun.
Yeah, they're pretty fun rides. And it's nice to see that these two have reopened. So that is obviously great to see. And then obviously we were talking about it, but the flying coaster is very, very interesting for sure. But it's kind of, it is definitely amusing to look at how they did combine the Dutchman and B&M Flyer elements. I have not ridden a Dutchman at all.
Yeah, me
only flying coasters I've done are from B&M, and so no Zamperlas either, thankfully. Although old Zamperla, I'm excited to see their new projects. Just the Valairs.
What's their new project?
Wow, who knows? Real mysterious.
Buckle up, everybody.
Yeah, but we'll move on to our next thing, which is about Sand Serpent at Busch Gardens Tampa. It is closed for good, and if you look on social media, we know the coaster is being scrapped. It is being destroyed, so it is not being relocated. It's not coming back. It's done. They basically just spent no time wasted in terms of getting rid of it. But this does get us one step closer to this rumored Project Halcyon coming in 2024, which we still really don't know what it is. A lot of speculation out there, ranging from something more modest, maybe some sort of family attraction, family coaster, all the way to giga rumors, or speculation. So, your thoughts on this?
Well, I say feh with Sand Serpent. Feh. You heard it here first. I will tell you why. When I went to Busch Gardens Tampa with my family a few years ago, what do I need a battery saver for? Oh, sorry. I just got a notification that my battery was dying. But it's from my phone. Anyway, no, we went a few years ago. They did not let my son ride that. And basically he was tall enough. Basically, he got to ride Cobra's Curse. He rode Scorpion, which are way more intense rides than Sand Serpent. And Sand Serpent turned him away, and he was very, very, very disappointed. And I was like, really? We just came off of like Schwarzkopf Scorpion here with a legit lap bar only loop here. What's up? And they said sorry. And so that's why I have no tears to shed, not a tear. Basically, my tear ducts are the Sahara Desert. I do not care that being a Sand Serpent. You see what I did there? I'm excited to see what's going to be put there. I don't care that it got torn down. I guess that the announcer's voice was cool.
I wouldn't even know about that. So at least that's something.
But yeah, I mean, the thing is, Busch Gardens has a lot of land. I know that people. It's kind of weird to think, because it's if you've ever been out there. You can drive around the whole thing. It's almost like it's placed right in the middle of a neighborhood. It's really very funny. But They do have land. I mean, yes, a lot of it's dedicated to their wildlife, preserve there, but yeah, it'd be cool because it's like where does Busch Gardens go after this? Gwazi knocked it out of the park. Iron Gwazi, I should say. Is it dying?
They said extreme battery saver.
Okay. It was my phone. Here's my son coming back in. But yeah, no, it just with Iron Gwazi, they knocked it out of the park. And they just might go family route because really outside of Cobra's Curse,
they have nothing.
I mean, Cheetah Hunt maybe sort of on the border of being family, sort of, kind of, maybe not really. They don't really have anything. Serengeti Flyers was a flat. I don't know. The cool thing is
Eric Rover or whatever it's called.
They do have Eric Rover, and they also have a really legit. They have a really legit. I don't know what it's called, but it's like a little boat ride in the kid area too that has like an airtime hill. It's really funny.
Okay.
It's really funny, but I think the world is the oyster right now with Busch Gardens Tampa. They could go big. Hyper, they could use a hyper. I think a hyper would do really well there. Obviously, a gig would be amazing because they want to try to compete with, Epic Universe and all that stuff. But really, the world's their oyster right now. I'm kind of excited to see what they do because they could use anything. Launch, extreme spinner, hyper, family coaster. I mean, they could do it all. Maybe do 2.
Yeah, it would. This is definitely going to be, I think at this point, most people are expecting some sort of coaster to replace Sand Serpent. Like I said, the range of outcomes here is pretty vast. I'm still going to, if I had to guess based off what little we have right now, I would say probably more on the family coaster route. And I know Vekoma's getting a decent amount of projects next year too. So I do wonder if we could see some sort of family Vekoma come here. That would certainly be interesting. And hey, I would definitely not be opposed to SeaWorld working with new gen Vekoma. So
yeah, no,
I would
absolutely.
love to see it.
I'm with you there. I think they really are. I put in chat about the Jinma. Someone said Jinma was a rip off, stuff like that, and I said, look, Vekoma started out that way too. Vekoma did Arrow dirty. They ripped them off hardcore. But now look what Vekoma's doing. I mean, you got Guardians, you got Fly, you've got these Big Bear and all this different stuff. I really think people are like, at least in the US, and obviously people in Europe have been savvy to it for a while. But it's like, I think that the US parks are really starting to like this kind of be like keep kind of going kind of keeping a side eye on what's happening there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean Europe. In Asia, even to a decent extent, have been flooded with large-scale Vekoma projects. And we're starting to see that carry over here. Maybe, yes, as of right now, more so on the family side, but we are getting that tilt coaster, circuit breaker at Kodo Land. I believe it'll happen. It's just, it's being delayed eternally, it feels like. But yeah. I expect that to happen, and I expect that we'll see some other projects get announced in the nearest future, hopefully, but we'll have to wait and see what happens there. And speaking of exciting new projects, that leads me to our next one. Yes. Fast and Furious. The Fast and Furious roller coaster that's been speculated, rumored for, at this point, I think, actually about a year, pretty close to.
Yeah.
It has been confirmed, the existence of it. I mean, it was already pretty well known, to be honest, but hey, we have official confirmation. It's a little unusual to see that through threads and Twitter. So at least it's something. It's pretty unusual for Universal to acknowledge their projects this early with coasters, because Hagrid's, they literally announced it a few months before it opened. I think Velocicoaster was like the same way. So
I think they're just trying to be all hip with the threads. They're like, we're cool, we're hip. It's just something like millennial that they hired. Like, threads is cool, let's announce our coaster, which is fine. No, here's the thing, you're absolutely right. Like, we've known that there's going to do something there, and I like to take about 2% credit for it because I've always said, listen, I wanted them to tear out the Simpsons ride and put a coaster there that was still Simpsons themed, because you could use the facade of the Simpsons ride as the station, which would have been really cool. But I said, listen, this built right on the side of a hill. You've already got a la Time Traveler a hill built in. You don't need a lift hill. It's all there. Use a launch to bring it back up, just like Time Traveler does. And I was advocating for a mock extreme spinner. But
pretty close.
but I mean, yeah, we'll see. See, that's the thing. We'll see, right? Because it's like the concept art showed legitimately spinning, or at least cars that do move.
Mm-hmm.
And it got everybody excited. It was like, oh, and this Fast and Furious makes sense. The IP does need a redemption as far as rides go. And drifting around, and if we want to get really nerdy, we can say that they've been teasing this type of ride train forever from their backlot tour. If you remember, there used to be a part where the bus would go around and would show like the cars on like Jinma arm type of things, like spinning and drifting and stuff.
Oh, really?
Those old school people that will remember that part of the before they opened up that ride part where it's horrible CGI. But before that, they would take you around and you would towards the train vehicle, they would like spin and drift. So I mean, maybe no, let's call it a stretch. But it's interesting. It's super exciting because Intamin is my favorite manufacturer. So the fact that it's going to be an Intamin, I mean, Intamin has been really good for Universal, and Universal has been very good for Intamin. I love to see it.
Universal Studios, I think I saw him cheering rebuilding the Simpsons ride.
Oh, you're right. He said he saw some buildings being torn down.
Right.
That's true, yeah. Especially if you're following over on Parks Bros channel. But no, yeah, I am excited for it. There's been a leaked layout, and some really cool people who have kind of done their best interpretation of that layout, and done some recreations and stuff like that. It's fun to see. But if they do put the theming into like they did with Velocicoaster, spend some money, make it look really cool, that'll be great. And then if they do have some sort of spinning motion, a la, what is it, the Enterprise ride, or what is Star Trek, or what's the ride over there in the Intamin ride that?
Objective Mars, like the family.
Oh yes,
one.
Objective Mars. Yes.
Yeah.
If it's something like that, but like cars, that's gonna be so cool. What do you think?
Yeah. Although Objective Mars wouldn't be the best example because the trains actually caught on fire a few months ago and they're not spinning it anymore.
Oh, I thought that was just part of the theming.
Unfortunately, it got a little too real.
Still better than Fast and the Furious ride at Orlando.
For sure. But no, I'm very intrigued by this coaster. Also based off, we haven't really seen Intamin do a super thrilling, what would assumedly be like a multi-dimension coaster. So I'd be curious how that would end up looking like, if that would give an experience similar to an extreme spinner, or if it would be like more so like, I know the extreme spinners, like it's a little controlled in terms of they can't go like super crazy. But I don't know if the multi-dimension, I think those are usually, they tend to be pre-programmed. So I don't know if that'd be the same thing here. But regardless, I mean, I'm super pumped to see the construction of this ride play out and learn more about it as we move forward. It'll be interesting. The other question, I guess, right now is at this point, is it a 2024 coaster or is it 2025? That I couldn't tell you.
Hard to say. It really is. I mean, I think that they have the capability of getting it done by 2024. But I don't know if they're going to want to do that. Maybe they, because of what it is and how much it will mean to this park, maybe they just don't want to. I don't say rush is the wrong word, but maybe they want to give themselves that extra buffer just in case something does go wrong. And they can always say it's gonna be for 2025, and then if it's done before then, they can just say, oh, just kidding, they can open it earlier. But I think they're going to take their time with this ride. The lessons that they've learned from their Orlando properties with Hagrid's and with
Yeah.
Velocicoaster to really put that know-how into this one. And so I think they're going to do it right. And if that makes it so it's 2025, then so be it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm on the same boat. I don't really care whether it's 2024 or 2025. As long as it's amazing, which it probably will be, I'm fully on board. So
Yeah, it's awesome. Like I just like something that, like I said, I've always wanted to see there at that park, especially just because I could see, like, without sounding like I'm a broken record, but just seeing that you can just use that terrain to your advantage. Like, I was like, it was almost like a no-brainer. But the fact that it's an Intamin is like a dream come true. New gen moment. I mean, sorry, new gen Intamin. Like, wow, so cool.
Yeah, I mean, that is crazy times. I mean, Universal Hollywood, as you said, like, it's always, they've had the unique terrain to do something really interesting, but it's just like, it's always kind of felt like they're just not really going to do it. And they're finally doing it, so it's pretty exciting.
And it's the best way that they could have done it, because it's like, it is a small little park, but, that a roller coaster really lends itself well to that park, especially with the advances in the LSM technology that will allow it to get back up, without any problems. Like, it's just they've got all that real estate, but it's the real estate that looks like this. You know what I mean? So it's super cool. So I am excited for it. Not so excited to, and again, maybe this is just me, but to have seen this buckle up about 400 times in my feed today.
Hey, I'm gonna tell you, I was one of the first people to do it.
Okay.
I saw the tweet come out, and I think within like 2 minutes or something, I put it out there. I'm like, I guess it was the thread, because I had notification for that, but still.
Yeah, like the pluses and minuses of being an enthusiast on Instagram and stuff. It's like, you're super excited, but it's like, all right, you got to see the same thing about 400 times.
Yeah, but my biggest pet peeve with that stuff is whenever a park, and to be fair, I used to do this like way back in the early days, but whenever a park announces a new coaster and they already upload the animated POV and everyone else is like, yes. Yep. I mean, to be fair, a decent amount of them have a media package or whatever. Some of them don't, but still, it's like, but I'm kind of like, I don't need like 100 of these. So I do get it. I do understand that.
It's fine. Sure. It's all love. It's all love. It's just funny. It makes me laugh. So.
And I post enough about some weird stuff that you might not see everywhere, and I'm like, I can do this, whatever. So, and sometimes I even just skip it if it's like, oh, I'm too late. I'm not going to add on to it.
There's no judgment on my end. I just think it's funny. That's all.
No, for sure. Alrighty. Next, we'll move on to some interesting surveys. Now, I've seen people take this a little too seriously. These are surveys. This is not a confirmation that any of this stuff is happening, so we always have to keep that in mind. It just maybe gives us a look into some ideas being discussed and thrown around within these parks. But Carowinds and Canada's Wonderland, both of them have released surveys asking about future attractions. So,
yeah.
Carowinds, their survey had a question about new area rethemes. They didn't specify what area they would retheme. They just discussed 2 themes that they wanted the sort of pollers to choose from. One being a theme that's more like art meets industry, which would be an area that would have like sort of a vibrant modern artist vibe to it. And then there was another area they showed concept art for that would be something for what would be an aviation village theme, which would be more vintage, using like Wright Brothers era sort of theming is kind of the theming that they showed. But they also had a question about a future attraction, and it seems that they're very interested in making or adding a water-based attraction, as they listed options between a log flume, a raft ride, and a water coaster under the survey as well, which included a picture of a mock power splash as reference, which is definitely going to make people at least a little interested in what they're considering. But it doesn't end there. Canada's Wonderland did something similar with 3 coaster options, including a B&M launched wing coaster, sort of, called Blast Coaster. The description described it as a wing coaster. The illustration showed it an invert. But it was reminiscent of Volcano because it goes through Wonder Mountain, and it is literally a launch coaster. So, and the name of it is literally Blast Coaster. And then they also had a B&M launched wing, which was called Concert Coaster. Is said to feature onboard audio if they were to do it, and it would launch through a concert stage. And then they also had another option, which was a sort of mine sort of themed GCI family wooden coaster with a spiral lift hill similar to Zambezi Zinger, also shown. So, Ambassador, what are your thoughts on all of this?
My thoughts are I've got a close friend who works in engineering and actually worked on the ride systems for Cosmic Rewind, Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind. And he told me that they were working on that roller coaster for 6 years, the planning and everything like that. And that blew my mind. So that being said, I think that these surveys are not say what's coming up next. No way. I think it's just to gauge guest interest, if that makes sense. I think it's more like a poll. Like they just want to see what should we start focusing our attention on. What they're going to be building next has already been planned for probably a couple of years. I think it was at West Coast Racers was like planned for years and years, right? It's yeah, they don't just go, oh, well, it looks like all the people on Twitter told me we should build a mock power splash. Let's go ahead and just buy one of those. You know what I mean? And listen, if Magic Mountain has taught me anything, remember that survey way back in the day when it
with
said,
Superman Escape from Krypton? Yeah. Yep, with the crazy thing.
Well, the cool thing is that's been just enough years, so that may be what's next, because that's been like years ago since that. But
surveys don't have the best track records either, looking back on them too.
So I really think it's a marketing tool. I don't think it's a tease. I don't think it's a crystal ball. I 100% think it's a data collection, media gathering tool.
Yeah. And even though they're asking for their one specific park, I could also see a scenario where they're like, oh, people really are interested in something like this, and they might apply it to some other place, another park perhaps. So,
well, you also got to think of Carowinds has been in the news recently with negative news. All your GP news reporters and stuff like that going, look at this dangerous ride. Listen, I'm guilty. I sent the video to a very popular radio show whose producer I know, and they posted it on their Instagram. So,
oh boy.
I think this was strategic. This might have been a way to kind of, move things more positive sort of news for Carowinds. Now, Canada's Wonderland hasn't really had that bad of news unless you talk about some of they've had some like violent kind of riot type of things there, all teens behaving badly.
I believe I've heard stuff along those lines.
Yeah. So who knows? And this could be that too, like trying to shift the focus. Maybe that's just the weird skeptic in me. That's the I don't believe anything.
There might be something to that. You never know.
Yeah. Let me know in the chat. Am I way off? Am I too much of a boomer to think that? But, my wife works in media and advertising. And so I have been exposed to a lot of interesting tactics that companies utilize to gather information, not for nefarious reasons, but just more of like, let's see how much interest there is towards a particular thing. And in this case, like I said, things and rides and stuff are years in the making. So maybe this is just something that they're like, if enough attention is drawn to this one area, maybe we can start looking into that.
Yeah. I think there could be something, even though it may seem like a little like odd to maybe think of it as like a strategy there. It could be. I mean, the only thing is this is sent specifically to pass holders. I was pretty sure is like how this kind of
Yeah,
got
but
out.
who's their bread and butter?
But they need them to be confident, like in going to the parks, because I'm sure, like, obviously if you're pass holder, you have kids. Obviously, the fights at Canada's Wonderland not gonna like help these things. Carowinds, this
Right.
whole situation. So no, it definitely. I think I'm not gonna say that's what it was.
No, but
there could be
it's
something
not,
to it.
It's not out in left field to think that way. I mean, pass holders, please keep making your monthly payments. I mean, that's if you think about it. I mean, but you never know. Who knows?
We'll see, but it is.
Cool. I mean, the thing is,
it's
I like
interesting.
it.
Yeah, no, it's nice to at least get a glimpse, because at least I imagine these are things being thrown around and whatnot, at least talked about in some degree. So it's nice to kind of get a little bit of insight, even if it ends up being something that, like, maybe we don't see any of these options come to fruition, at least at their respective parks. But it's at least still interesting to see regardless.
Yeah.
So, yeah. With that being said, we will move on to an complete rumor. Do not take this with any, and I have it as listed as a rumor for good reason. And this is from Screamscape, which super hit or miss. But anyways, Lance has reported a rumor about Six Flags Great America, and supposedly, according to whoever his sources would be, they are rumored to be focusing on family-friendly additions to appeal more to families in the next few years, with the next major project being a camp cartoon overhaul. That's one of their kids' areas. It's been noted for being outdated, so that would kind of make sense, followed by replacement attractions for the former Buccaneer Battle attraction, and there are go-karts, which still exists, but we've seen go-karts pretty much just going at parks just all around, so that wouldn't be too surprising. And Lance also noted that this would be in line with Salim's sort of plan and outline that he's kind of given for what he wants Six Flags to go towards, more appealing to families. And I guess we were talking about things of this sort, but it would also make sense for a park that has made headlines for negative reasons, including fights. So, because that park certainly has had quite a bit of that in the last 2 years. So, your thoughts on this?
Well, I actually have very fond. I'm very fond of Six Flags Great America. It's my second most visited Six Flags park, because, like I mentioned earlier in the stream, I have family that are in the Indiana, basically Northwest Indiana, Chicagoland area. So I've been there many, many, many times. And I will say, yes, that kids area does need help. It used to be themed to the Flintstones, and they lost the IP. And so it used to be called Bedrock. And it makes me laugh so hard. But whoever came up with it's genius, but it made me laugh at the same time. They just took the bottom part of the B, knocked it out, and made it an R. And it's now Red Rock, which is just brilliant. I love that. But it does need help, because the park is really cool, and it's, as everybody knows, and if people who don't know, I'll say it. They are very much a prototype type of park for Six Flags, kind of like how Fiesta Texas is. And so, I mean, they're stacked. It's such a stacked park. I mean, they've got pretty much one of everything, which is really, really cool. First invert, first, wing, first, I don't know, did they get the first flying B&M flying? I don't know, maybe.
No, they did not, because Galactica would have come first.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
And
first
then I think over Georgia's was first. Yeah, first one in Illinois. They got the first. No, they didn't even. They have. And they still have some unique.
One of the first hypers, but it's.
They did get the first B&M, actually. You're right.
Yeah. So it's
gone now, but they did have it.
It's that's what the park is really stacked. It's a great park. But yes, the kids area is lacking. I have ridden that coaster. It was a Jetsons themed coaster. I don't know what they call it now, but it's a fun little Vekoma little thing. But I would love to see an overhaul to that. It definitely needs it, because when you're walking around the park and then you go into that area, if you have kids, you're like, oh yeah, I can see this place was kind of neglected. So I have no problem with it if they did do that. And listen, recently parks have had a lot of success focusing on their family areas. That there's been some success there. So it's not, that it would be a poor decision, because really it's like, what else do Six Flags Great America need? I mean, I've already going to say a Giga, sure, but they are stacked. They are a stacked park. Yeah, I like it. I have ridden those go-karts. I didn't do the pirate challenge, but I think
It's gone now, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually do kind of like these I guess I haven't ridden one as elaborate as that one there, but I actually do kind of like those rides, or I did when I was younger, so
yeah,
they're kind of going away. But I have not been to Six Flags Great America, but given the circumstances and some of the things that have been going on and what the new sort of Six Flags plan is, I could see this being something that definitely benefits the park quite a bit, and they're already very stacked, as you said. So
yeah, I really don't know where else they're gonna go.
I think would be a good move if they're not getting an RMC single rail, because I think that'd actually be pretty nice to see there.
That would be interesting there. Yeah, tear down the Dark Knight coaster and make it a single rail. Everybody loved that ride. I hate that ride.
I am not. I missed out on the one in Mexico, out of all places. I missed out on it when I was there, unfortunately, so I've not done one of those.
Yeah, that used to be my bottom coaster before I rode Pegasus at Wisconsin Dells or Mount Olympus, and then now Wolverine Wildcat. It's dumb. I just didn't get it. Like, people are like, oh, it's themed really great. It's fun. I'm like, no, it was boring and underwhelming. But yeah, no, bring on the family code. I think it's good. Like I said, from earlier, that question in Q&A, the Wildwood Grove has been extremely successful. And I think that if people don't think that other theme parks are looking what other theme parks are doing, you're kidding yourselves. Of course they are. Of course.
Yeah, for sure.
So.
Yep. And then Civilian Satellite also notes Shockwave, I believe is what it was called. The first 7 looping coaster was also at Great America.
They also had a Vekoma stand-up, I think. Not Vekoma, I'm sorry, an Intamin. I think they had an Intamin stand-up there. Iron Wolf or something like that.
That was the B&M one. Oh, yeah, that was the first B&M coaster, yep.
Yeah.
And that is now Firebird. But yeah, there you go. And speaking of which, Civilian Satellite, yeah, he worked at Six Flags New England, and he saw the Dark Knight in New England's parking lot, infamous coaster, because it never actually got built at New England because of all the city problems they had with it.
All the way there. That's funny. I do remember that. That's funny.
Yep. So that's a pretty unique experience.
That's a callback.
Yep. Next, we're going to move on to our last. So I usually do 5 with the new format, but I learned about something that has really only been out for a day, and it hasn't been, at the time I was starting to record, talked about a whole lot, but it's probably circulated since I've started the stream because I kind of sent it out to a few people, so maybe there's more talk about it. Maybe not. It is a kids coaster in kids area, but it is at a big park, so it still is interesting. But walls have gone up at Camp Snoopy, at Knott's Berry Farm, and Timberline Twister, the kiddie coaster, along with their camp bus attraction, which was their just typical sort of bus go up and down in like a circle motion ride. They may have operated for the final time, as employees said they were getting removed, and they've also been completely wiped from the website. So you can look them up on Knott's Berry Farm. They're not there anymore on the website. So some level of, I wouldn't say confirmation, but evidence to this actually happening. Your thoughts on this, Ambassador?
Well, the Dippin' Dots guy told me that he saw Alan Schilke on site. I'm dead serious. No, just kidding. No, it's interesting because, Knott's has been making a lot of waves recently. Some waves are a little longer than others. Montezuma's Revenge. But no, what they did with Fiesta Village is beautiful. It's amazing what they've done there. So, I think they're just going to ride this wave. And I'll tell you what, if this rumor turns out to be true, it blows my mind. I legitimately did not see them taking out Timberline Twister. It's a fun little coaster. It's the only kiddie coaster there. So it's interesting that they would take that out. And if they are taking it out, are they going to move it, or are they going to put a new kiddie coaster there, or is this going to be something new? I'm not sure. Like it actually, just like you said, this is like breaking. Like it's so new. It's like I haven't had much time to process it. Like I don't know if Drew's still in the chat. He's the resident, Knott's Berry Farm guru. Very interesting about what's happening there. It would be sad to see it go, because the kids need something to ride. I don't know. I'm very, 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 very curious. I'm gonna get your thoughts, Carrick.
So first off, I mentioned to Ambassador earlier, this is the only coaster at Knott's Berry Farm I had never ridden. I had multiple chances to ride it, but I was always like, the line's too long, so I'm not gonna do it. And even though I wasn't too tall for it, like I even still now, like I could have went earlier and I could have ridden it, but unfortunately, I just decided it wasn't worth it, and it seems like it's gone.
Is Montezuma's Revenge off the website too?
No, I think that's under Forbidden. It's under the Forbidden Fortress name.
So they give it the new name. Who knows? Maybe they're going to give it the Montezuma's Revenge treatment.
It's made by such a old manufacturer and whatnot. There's no way.
Well, no, I'm saying, what if they put a new ride in there? Do you know what I mean? Like they're taking it out.
Yeah.
It's too expensive to do, or maybe they just wasn't worth their time to maintain it, and they're gonna get like a Vekoma Junior or a who knows.
There's one ride model. I would have to. I'm pretty sure it probably would be fine with the plot of land they could use. I haven't, obviously none of us have seen how much space it takes, but they're pretty compact. And they did work with them with a certain ride at Worlds of Fun. So I do wonder, could this, if they were to replace it with another kiddie coaster, perhaps we could see a Pescetti Bowl of some sort?
That would
Skyline
be awesome.
attractions. I'm now, I just kind of thought of it on the spot. I'm like,
no, that's great. Let's will it into existence. We all know somebody who works for Skyline now, Mr. Dan over at Midway Mayhem. Let's knock on his door. Be like, Dan, I know you're entry level, but come on.
I got a connection over there too, otherwise. So, but I'm not gonna ask about that. But
for you. But what did Michigan's Adventure do to their kiddie coaster, Frontier Coasters? Let me know about it. I was just there. But yeah, no, I think it'd be, that's actually pretty cool, because it's like, what's Timberline Twister's manufacturer? Are they like PAX or something?
Bradley and Kay. They like I think long gone. Like, when was that ride built? I need to look at this.
70s something. But like
the early 80s. Yeah.
I mean, obviously none of us know. This is all just 100%, speaking from passion, not from knowledge. But, taking out a kiddie coaster doesn't make sense for Knott's Berry Farm. Their kiddie land is pretty cool as it is. It looks pretty nice. They wouldn't take it out unless they were replacing it with something. If they replaced it with like a funnel cake stand, that would be horrible. So it's like, I do a Pescetti Bowl would be legit and like cost effective, relatively straightforward to manufacture. Huh. I like it.
Yeah.
I like it a lot.
I was
Wouldn't
just
have to be a dueling mile. It could just be. It could be.
Yeah, it could be singular or double, whichever they want. Probably singular, because I think that the plot of land that ride is in Timberline Twister is tiny.
It's very small, but they could go over. They could go over some fences. I mean, he has like that little you see in the background of that picture there. They've got like a little shed and stuff like that. You could take that out and you could make it go up and over and around some things. Try to keep the trees. You could call it Timberline Twister Motorbike Adventure.
Something like that. Yes. So Frontier Coasters was referring to Woodstock Express at Michigan's Adventure. So originally the ride was a kiddie coaster called Big Dipper.
Yeah.
They seemingly closed it for good, I believe. But then they relocated it over somewhere else and renamed it Woodstock Express. My only holdup, I don't really think this is going to happen with Timberline because Chance Rides, which is a manufacturer of this coaster, still exists. It was a relatively, it wasn't even that old of a roller coaster. Whereas I literally just looked it up. The manufacturer who made Timberline Twister has been defunct since 1986. So they could get, I know they have other ways of getting parts and whatnot, but especially with how tiny that coaster is, how compact the Piscetti Bowl coaster can be, I'm just kind of like, that kind of makes sense now that I think about it.
Yeah, no, that's cool. I want to will it into existence. I think that's such a great,
a good idea.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea.
Yep. I'd be happy to see it. That would probably be the first one I'd ever ride because I don't see myself, depending on when it opens, of course. Fiesta Texas actually could be in the near future, but we'll see in terms of parks to visit.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's going to be it for our news segment. Just 6 topics, but hope you all found that interesting. With that being said,
I did.
We're going to move on to, I think we're going to do buy or sell, I think.
Right.
We're going to move on to buy or sell next. So for those who are unfamiliar, basically how this works, I was going to almost go into the block zone like whole rant, but I'm like, that's not what I'm doing.
You get a
right
copyright
now.
strike.
Yeah, something like that. There are... But for buy or sell, basically, if you've watched Airtime Thrill series, former guest of mine, he does this video series where he asks the viewers to give him takes or give him predictions, and then he buys or sells it. I was doing a prediction series at the time he brought that in, and I was like, hey, could I kind of steal this for the streams? I need a good interactive segment with the guests, and the predictions, it wasn't really too interactive, and he happily let me use it. So that is the buy or sell segment. Works exactly the same way. So with that being said, give us your takes or predictions. I did see one question come in. What about the Fiesta Texas rumors? There was one really silly rumor that came out that I think has been dispelled, and I don't even feel like I want to go into it because it was so absurd. But we'll see what happens with Fiesta Texas. Because they're teasing something going on, but we'll see what it is. There's been a lot of speculation there. If I had to put my guess, I think Pandemonium gets removed and potentially relocated somewhere else. That's kind of been on the theoretical. It's been kind of put out there for a while.
We're talking about a lot.
So I kind of believe it. I'm like, that would make sense.
I don't believe it because there is plenty of space behind it to put anything else. I've been to Fiesta Texas and I really enjoy Fiesta Texas a lot. I think it's a cool park. And I think they've got plenty of room if you wanted to put something behind it. And a lot of people are like, take it out, put something else there for the plot of land. I'm like, you could put stuff around it. What? Okay, cool, buddy. show the camera.
What is
he
this?
showed me a picture of a bowl on the phone.
No, this is this coloring game.
It's a coloring game.
And there's 84 squares of color that you have to color.
84. Sorry.
You're good.
He's photobombing the chat. Buy or sell. My
Let's
mini-me
see.
is going to be jumping into the chat more out.
Civilian Satellite asks if you
I know,
are
right?
gonna. Yes.
Oh, I buy that all day. Oh my gosh, it's my dream. For those who are watching who don't know, there is a right off the freeway, if you're going to Six Flags Magic Mountain, right by Wendy's, there's the old sign that says Six Flags California, believe it or not. And underneath it it says Six Flags California, it says gift shop, and has an arrow pointing down. There used to be a gift shop at the bottom of the sign. It's very small and they used to sell like stuffed animals and shirts and stuff like that. And it's been closed for years and years and years and years. The park still owns it, and I've reached out to people. I've reached out to management, and I'm like, please let me be the steward of it. I'm already called the ambassador. I would treat it well. I'll put my own money into like repairing, like I'll put up new framing, on the inside, I'll make it nice, I'll paint it, whatever. And they're all like, oh, it's like no one like really takes me serious because I actually, to be honest with you, I don't think anybody like knows if they could legally do it. But I want to make that my studio. Like, how cool would that be? Like, just be like, hey, yeah, pop in.
Yeah.
It's very small. It's the same size as this room, but it's like pop in after your visit at Magic Mountain. We'll do a round table. We'll have fun. We'll eat at Wendy's afterwards. They got an In-N-Out there too now, so it's like you can have an In-N-Out burger or whatever you want. So I'm going to wait. He didn't give a timeline, so yeah, I'm gonna buy that all day. What do you think, Eric?
I'll buy it. I think you have the passion and drive to do it. And I mean, if they're not going to use it, then like they might as well get something for it. So
yeah, I mean, I will sign a waiver that says, I do not represent the park. Anything that happens, I'm not, not going to hold the park liable, whatever. Unless the sign collapses on me, then it's old. But I don't know.
Yeah, actually, I did eat at that In-N-Out the last time we went to Magic Mountain.
It's brand new, ground up.
Yep.
Ground up, brand new In-N-Out. So they're gonna do something right over there.
Yep. Let's see. Any other buy or sell?
Frontier Coasters had one right above that.
Yeah, it was a example one, just in case there were any new viewers. But it was about this one always. This is kind of the meme coaster of the stream because it gets brought up so much. Bisbee Spiral Airship. I'm gonna show it on stream again. I did it last time, and I'll just do it again. Let's make this easy. So it is this it's the first ever inverted coaster that was ever built. It was built like in 1902, so it's really cursed. It was built on Long Beach. Here you go.
Oh, I have seen that.
Yeah, Bisbee Spiral Airship. This is from RCDB. Yep, there it is. Suspended or inverted coaster. Went up the lift hill and spiraled all the way down.
Super cool.
I mean, if somehow someone would build this, it would be sick. I'd love to see someone build it. I mean, I just don't think it's gonna happen, but I mean, it'd be super fun.
I wonder if there's like some sort of patent. That's why people haven't been able to do it. But like, I'm super sad about the Pike there in Long Beach. For people who don't know, there used to be a theme park out there called the Pike, and the only remnants of the Pike still exists. It just has some
as an outlet. Like I've been there, but
they do have their sign does have a wooden roller coaster kind of like facade type of thing. They're kind of a shout out or a fond memory to what it used to be. But another fun fact is that Long Beach, that area, the Pike actually was considered for a Disneyland park.
Yep, for the Disney Sea thing that didn't end up becoming. And then
Disney Sea could have freaking happened in Long Beach. How amazing would that would have been. And there used to be a SeaWorld in what's it called? Pacific Palisades. It's called Marine Land or something like that, Marine World or whatever.
Yeah, I only learned about. I kind of looked more into Bisbee Spiral Airship out of just interest recently, and then I learned about the Pikes. I'm like, or the Pike, the park that was there, because I had been to the area, I've been to the outlets, and I've seen the facades, but I'm like, oh, so there actually was a reason why that stuff's all like this. It's like, this actually used to be a real park. I didn't know that before, very recently. So
I'd love to have it come back, I mean, shoot, I'd love to have the Busch Gardens, California come back, but did you know about that?
Well, that was more just so of like that was a plan. I don't think did that actually come to reality?
No, it was supposed to. It was going to be Tahitian themed. It was going to be like, like Polynesian. I shouldn't say Tahitian, but Polynesian themed. Right there in Van Nuys, where they have their factory. But now it's like surrounded with like industry and like all this different stuff. And there's the Van Nuys Airport that's right there. So I doubt they'll be able to bring it back. But how rad would that be to have a Busch Gardens right there? Oh my gosh, it'd be so cool. But
yeah, that would be sick. The only problem is we kind of have our like big open sort of animal place with although I guess it's Polynesian, so it doesn't need to follow the same format. But I know, like, I'm just thinking of Busch Gardens Tampa off the top of my head, and then we have the San Diego Zoo Safari Park, which I have been to.
Beautiful.
Great place.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
But I guess that would be different enough. It is unfortunate. And that actually would have, for being on the West Coast, especially because it's like the closest thing to Hawaii, basically, that you can get, without going there, basically. That
Well,
actually
then
would have
its
been pretty sick.
Its location would have been is fantastic, right there in the middle of the valley. Of those who don't know the geography, but just like 20 minutes north of Los Angeles, directly 20 minutes south, not even 20, maybe 15 minutes south of Magic Mountain. Like, it would have been awesome. Major freeways off 405, close to 101. Man, what a location! But yeah, no, Bisbee Spiral Airship. I know it's a meme, but that does look like it's a fun ride. It almost kind of reminds me of like the carousel that they've got going on at Disney's California Adventure, or the Mickey Pal Around or whatever it's called.
The Pixar Pal Around now.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
But with the swinging gondolas, like, people find those to be terrifying. I think it's actually a lot of fun, and I would imagine that's probably what Bixby's would feel like, especially if it was. Could you imagine? Because like, what if it was like it had kind of like the swinging like axis motion of, you know, not only forward and backwards, but like it was like kind of free roll, like maybe like on a ball joint, and you went around that. That would be legit. Like, you know, like a arrow suspended, but then like, you know, back and forth. And depending how many people were in each gondola, it would like swing out differently. Wow, that'd be cool.
Yeah, I mean, it would be insane to see something like that nowadays. That would be super fun. Interesting. I do like, this is an interesting buy or sell, and I would hope this doesn't happen, even though I'm actually not as big of a fan. Like, I'm not the biggest fan of this ride as much as other people. I respect it, but it's not like one of my favorite rides at the park. Buy or sell, the Haunted Mansion will get some new scenes to tie in with the new movie. All depends on how the movie does, and I don't think it's gonna do super well, so I'm gonna say sell. I don't think it's gonna do all that well.
I'm gonna say sell as well, only because they've actually already made a Haunted Mansion movie. People don't remember this. It had Eddie Murphy in it.
Eddie Murphy,
and it was awful. It was awful. So hopefully that they've learned their lesson from that film. No, I love Eddie Murphy. Don't get me wrong. I just think they went the wrong direction. I think that they needed to be more true to a storyline that's already built into the ride itself. Pirates, they were able to take a good liberty from. I mean, they still stayed very true to some things with Pirates of the Caribbean. But I know they're trying to cash in on that success, you know, obviously. We'll see. I think it had a lot of potential just from the trailer. It looked like it had a lot of fun, potential, until it started like kind of being like a fun ensemble cast of a lot of stars. I'm like, just keep it simple. Keep it about the bride. Kind of make it scary. I know they wanted to make it fun, but keep it about the bride that gets left over. Keep it about the hat box ghost. Like, there's like, I think what Benicio del Toro was going to do looked cool. Did you ever hear about that?
No.
Benicio del Toro, the guy that's done like, you know, a lot of those horror films and those like what was that one? Oh shoot, I'm blanking right now. But he's very famous. He's known for horror film stuff. He was Pan's Labyrinth. He did Pan's Labyrinth. He was rumored to be working on a Haunted Mansion film. He even released on Instagram or Twitter or somewhere his logo for it, and it had the Hatbox Ghost. Like, it just, I was like, oh, this is it. This is the direction you want to go with it. I don't mean like rated R horror, but lean into that story that's already there. You've already got it. You know, you've got the bride, you've got the Madam, what's her name? The floating Madam something. I know all these Disney people are going to be screaming at the screen right now, but it was Guillermo del Toro? I thought it was Benicio.
Oh, that actually.
It was Guillermo, right?
I'm more familiar with Guillermo's
Sorry,
work.
Benicio del Toro is an actor. I'm sorry.
Yes.
It's del Toro. Oh,
yes.
There goes my light.
Uh-oh.
Wow.
It looks like it took a tumble.
It did. But that's right, everybody. It's made from a $1 thing. The hot glue warmed up. And
oh, no.
It's all right. You can still see me. No, but I think that, yes, Guillermo del Toro, I apologize, everybody. But yeah, like, I think his direction is going to look good. What's happening with this new film? I know I'm taking way too long to answer, but I think it just, because it has this all-star cast, like you've got Owen Wilson, you've got Danny DeVito, you got all these different people. I think it's going to be too convoluted. I think there's going to be too much jockeying for screen time, if that makes sense. The editor has their work cut out for them. but I think that's going to make the film not great. I still think it'll be successful, but I don't know if they're going to. I mean, financially, I just don't think that they're going to. It's going to be enough to make new show scenes because they didn't put Johnny Depp into Pirates until after like the third or fourth film, right? I think they waited for some real success before they put him in that ride, right?
I think after the third,
Yeah.
I think seems about right. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm selling that one as well, unfortunately. Could be wrong. Come back. Let us know in the comments in the future if we are wrong. I will. It takes a big, huge man to admit when he's wrong.
Yep. And honestly, for me, I kind of hope they don't mess with it. Unless the movie's actually like legitimately good and there'd be reason to, but I always those projects I'm a little like, because they're doing more and more of them. I think there might be a Space Mountain movie. I don't know if that's still in production or whatever.
Yeah.
That's in limbo. I'm a little like,
If
can
the
we like
story's
ease off
done
a
right,
bit?
if the story's done right, I'm happy with it. It's just, but if they're making it just to try to crank it up, kind of like what they're doing with these the live action versions
Yes.
up there. It's like,
I really don't like that
you know,
trend.
like some of them were good. I believe it or not, the one that no one talks about, which I think is the best one, was Pete's Dragon. Pete's Dragon is fantastic film. That one was done well because they took some liberties with it and kind of went a different direction, but it worked. I just think that, yeah, like, you know, let's if you do the story right, cool. Just don't do it just for the sake of doing it, because it's like they're doing quantity over quality right now because they can. I think it's going to bite them in the butt.
I think it kind of is, but we'll see for sure. But yeah, I mean, maybe it does end up being successful enough to the point where they would put new scenes in. So you really never know.
Yeah, you never. I mean, listen, did anybody in their right mind think that they were going to do a Nightmare Before Christmas rehaul, and then that it's actually going to be cool? Like, you know what I mean? Like, no one saw that coming. So
That movie in general is like kind of the weirdest, craziest
weird movie.
stories ever. Like, well, yeah, because I've watched videos, and my brother, like, it was one of the movies he rewatched the most back in the day.
Sure.
And it was very weird because it's like it kind of faded into obscurity for like a decade after it released. Like, just no one seemed to care for it. Then randomly, like, merchandise started kind of becoming popular again, and people were rediscovering the movie. And a few years after, like, its sort of rediscovery, it's like it got super popular again, and to the point where they did that sort of overlay for the Haunted Mansion, which is...
And it worked. I think it's cool. I mean, I don't know how successful the movie was when it first came out. I remember seeing it in the theater when it first came out, but
I think it was pretty successful upon release. It just kind of
that Tim Burton's
faded a
name
little
on it.
bit.
it has a name on it. You know, he didn't direct that. A lot of people don't realize that he was not
Yeah.
the director of that film.
He wasn't that involved. I think I also saw a documentary on that as well. He wasn't super
He's just a
involved with
producer.
it, just
Yeah.
a producer. Yep.
But you know, we'll see. But that was a good buy or sell. I like that civilian satellite. Good job.
Let's see. Buy or sell. Marineland in Canada will be bought by someone else, and will actually rename the park. That park is in a weird saga right now. That park has been I don't even know the full details and everything, but it just, every time I feel like I see something related to it, it's like, oh my goodness, I don't even know what's gonna happen there, because there's just a lot kind of going on there, and it's like, but people have been saying it's gonna like just bite the dust, and it hasn't yet. I don't know. I have a hard time seeing anyone else actually buying it. I think there's just too much negativity and problems there, because one of the biggest problems is the fact that they have the animals there, and they're trying to figure out, can they relocate them? I think there's an issue of some of them are too old, so if someone buys them, you kind of have to let the animals live their lives until they're done, and as long as that is going, that's going to be negative PR. There's just a lot of things, and it's like just a humongous park. The layout makes no sense currently. based off what I've heard. I'm sure there's some, and I've heard there's some companies and things that are like interested, but I have a hard time seeing it actually getting bought. I think it is one that would actually end up biting the dust. So I'm gonna say sell.
Yeah, again, coming with these really good buy or sells, because it's very a layered question. It's a park. Talk about a park with so much potential. Location is good. It's a great location right by Niagara.
Yeah.
Heavily trafficked. You know, yes, you're going to be seasonal, sure, but Niagara is already a very well visited tourist attraction, and if you could bring people over to, you know, a theme park, I think it is, you know, you can only ride the Frankenstein Burger King coaster so many times, right? But just the potential of that park is so great that I want to buy it. I want to buy this. Like my heart wants to, because I can just see, like you said, it's huge. Yeah, the layout doesn't make sense, but that can be changed so easily. You know, new paths, new directions, stuff like that. Just it's, I don't know. I really want it. I really want to buy it, but I'm going to sell it. But I really want to buy it, if that makes sense. I know that's kind of I don't want that to be a cop out, but yeah, with the animals and all the different stuff, I mean, I think there's potential, and I don't know. If I had money, I just think that there's a potential that it could do really, really well. Someone has to take that risk, because, I mean, what is it? Dragon Mountain. What's the name of that coaster?
Dragon Mountain.
What a beautiful looking ride, right? And if you could, you know, it's probably running janky and all that stuff, but what if you spent some money and kind of sort of did that to a couple of other different rides? I think you'd bring people over there. Make the animals, like you said, the animals shouldn't be the main attraction. Marine Land is an interesting name. I think you could rename it.
Yeah, they would rename it almost. If it were to happen, then I would absolutely buy that they would rename it. They would have to, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, but I think you're right. I think we're seeing a Jogga Lake situation.
It's very weird. Well, yeah, so Civilian Satellite, the whole situation with, like, yes, so the owner passed away and now it's passed down to the kids. There was some sort of, I think it was a few months ago, there was like an intent to like kind of sell it, was something that was kind of made. So they are actually exploring it, even though I think they said they weren't going to. There's been things that have come out that they are looking into that and they're trying. But the location's really the only, I think, thing that's, I think, gonna make this a possibility, because it's so amazing. And I think the drop tower is actually like very visible from a lot of different points. I haven't been to Niagara Falls myself, but from my understanding, I think you can literally be by the falls and see the drop tower. I mean, it has an amazing location.
I've been there. It's a beautiful area. Yeah. We'll see.
But yeah. I would love to see someone. It has a lot of potential. It's in a great place. I would love to see it get saved. Something tells me it's just not gonna happen. But then again, something told me that RMC Wildcat wasn't gonna happen, and well,
that's true. That's true.
Which, happy I was wrong about that one, by the way.
Right. Maybe Hershend will come in and save it. Come on, Hershend.
That would be interesting. Who
would you want to buy it? If at existing companies, who would buy it?
Now that you mention it, Hershend probably would be the best fit. It kind of feels like a park that would, based off pictures that I've seen, that they could probably work with. The only thing is, I would just hope they would actually be willing to put the money into it, and I think they would. I think with the area and everything, it's something they would commit to, because Wild Adventures is kind of an odd situation. It's in a place that doesn't really work at this point in terms of attracting a ton of people. And we still have yet to see what they're going to do with Kentucky Kingdom. Though we'll see what they do with that park. But I just hope they would treat it more along the lines of a Silver Dollar City in Dollywood rather than
Yeah.
a Wild Adventures is basically what I'm getting at. So
Yeah, no, I get you. I think that they would have to really commit. They'd come in, make it have that look of like, because of the falls and the area, like you could, if you themed it to logging, like the logging industry, because you're already you're in Canada. That's, that's that industry up there, like the old logging mills and like the water wheels and like, I think that would look hot, but you rename Dragon Mountain to be like, the log ride or something, like the sawmill or something, Sawmill Mountain. That'd be cool.
I actually I do like the trains. They look kind of funny, but I don't know. They look pretty cool for
The
Dragon
Dragon
Mountain.
of Sawmill Mountain. Ooh.
Something like that. They could do something there. Civilian Satellite brings up a good point. Would they want to return there after Darien Lake? I think still there would be some interest because I mean, Darien Lake is a decent bit away. I mean, you're literally right there. You are right by the falls. You can see the park from the falls. I mean, they're
one of the most popular. If you look it up, I think it's like Niagara Falls area is one of the most visited tourist attractions in like North America.
Yes. So I mean, it's like, and I mean, like, yeah, people are gonna.
Works. That's why Pigeon Forge works.
Yep, exactly. And I mean, in that area, I don't know what else there is to do in that area, in the Niagara Falls area. I'm sure there's decent things, but I mean, if it was a Herschend park, they could really make that into like this, like basically like number 2 destination outside of Niagara Falls, and that's going to be a ton of people. So, I mean, like, yeah, it definitely could be something there. And I think this is going to be the last question, or the last buy or sell. Buy or sell, a Legend of Zelda ride will appear at Universal in the future. Buy. Yeah. Absolutely. I fully believe in the rumors with Poseidon's Fury in that area. I believe that'll become a Legend of Zelda area, as was intended at one point due to leaks, and I fully believe that's what's going to happen. So, yep, that's an easy one for me.
Yeah, I'll buy it. The IP is doing hot. Super Nintendo lands have been very successful, in over in Asia, and the one here in California, the one they're building in Epic Universe. You just know it's going to do well. I think it only makes sense because you've got to do something. I don't necessarily think that it's going to suffer too bad, Islands of Adventure, when Epic Universe opens, but I think there's going to be a big shift. And I think that's why SeaWorld is building so many things one after each other. They're building stuff because they know Epic Universe is going to like knock it out of the park. That's why they're like, we're going to get another B&M. We got another B&M. We got B&Ms. SeaWorld Orlando. But I think that if they were able to build, make that lost continent into the Legend of Zelda, it'll be enough to bring people back to islands from Epic Universe. I really do. I think it's a smart idea, especially with the movie being as successful, at least the Mario Brothers movie being successful, that it's really putting people Nintendo on top of mind. And then they just released that new game. What's it called? The Prayers of the Kingdom, or whatever it's called.
Tears of the Kingdom.
Tears of the Kingdom. Sorry, not a game. Sorry, everybody. Sorry, everybody in the chat who just screamed at their screen. But but that game was very successful on their launch day. It was lots and lots of pre-sales. They did it really, really well. So I think that's a good buy.
Yep. I say that as someone who has played like 2 Legend of Zelda games to even a somewhat decent extent. I played Twilight Princess on the Wii when I was 4 or something and had no idea what the heck I was doing. But because I guess we had it. Unfortunately, I guess the disc it got sold at some point during a move. So I actually was looking for it because I wanted to replay it. It's I could never find it. And then I played Wind Waker on the Wii U, but that was a long time ago. So I have not played Breath of the Wild. I've not played all that stuff, unfortunately. But I still think this will happen for sure.
Yeah, I think that's smart. A smart buy.
All right, I did see this one. I don't know. Funly, so Clint Novak is the general manager of this park. I believe is his position. From In the Loop. So buy or sell Funland of Fredericksburg will add a Giga Coaster. I mean, it'd be really funny, but no, there's no way. I mean, I remember hearing. I think I listened to him on attractions group podcast. I'd like to say he was a guest on a podcast, and I remember he was talking about how like even like he's had like kind of ideas for a bigger style coaster, but something that'd be like, you know, a Eurofighter or a like smaller GCI wooden coaster, and it's just not super feasible with what they're doing. So obviously it's not gonna happen. I know this is a meme question, it's a joke, but it would be cool to see this place get something like of decent size. I know there's been discussions there. It's in Virginia, so it'd probably be a stop if you go to, I think, King's Dominion. It's not very far away, so it'd be fun to have like a nice other like kind of little stop in Virginia that's not the too big park. So I would like to see them add a coaster, I guess, but not a park that's talked about a lot at all. But
Never heard of the park, so there you go. But hey, listen, if Funland can get, not Funland, I'm sorry, if Fun Spot can get an elite RMC, why not Funland and Fredericksburg get something cool?
yeah, I think a lot
But again,
of these.
it's just money. That's all. That's what it is.
Yeah,
Return on their investment. Is it going to give a good ROI?
Yeah, I'm very curious how that's gonna go for Air Force One, in terms of if that's gonna be worth it in probably several years' time, because that's like, I mean, that is like, that is just insane that that was built there. I mean that,
And not
that
only that's
is
insane
crazy.
that but everybody's saying it's an elite coaster, so it's like,
Oh yeah,
it's pretty cool. Like if
I
it
went
was
to
just kind of like
Atlanta when it
meh.
was being constructed. It's so
Same here.
sad.
Same here.
Yep.
I was in Atlanta last summer.
Yep. Same with me. Yep.
Did we talk about this? Were we at Dollywood at the same time or something like that? No, that was Chris. From Airtime
No.
Thrills. Chris was at Airtime Thrills at the exact same time as me, but he was purposely avoiding me.
Oh. Well, there
He
you
was
go.
with his family, and I was with my family, as if that matters.
I get that a little bit, but
No, of course I do. I'm just joking. But yeah, it was sad that it wasn't open yet. But anywho, hey everybody, thank you so much for your buy or sells. That was fun.
yep. Next, we're gonna move on to our next segment. I'm kind of switching things up, also kind of timing based off like timing and amount of people we have in here. But we're gonna move on to topics to discuss. So these are 3 topics that that I basically 2 of them are gonna be questions. One will have a mini countdown. But these are gonna be questions for the ambassador since we have him on here for the stream. And so my first question relates to the Enthusiast Roundtable series. So, obviously you've brought it back recently, but it's been a thing that you've done for a little while in the past. So, my question was, what inspired you to make the Enthusiast Roundtable series, and how has the experience been bringing on and talking with all these different other coaster enthusiasts and content creators in the community through the show? How has that all been?
Yeah, thanks for that question. So I it's funny because like I am a very late entrant to the enthusiast community. I've always liked roller coasters, but I didn't know a community existed. So I became an enthusiast while riding the Manhattan Express coaster at the New York. A lot of people hate that coaster, but it was the first time I'd experienced something that was I'd never realized experienced on a coaster, which was a dive loop. And I thought it was so interesting. I've done loops and stuff like that and drops, stuff like that, but seeing a dive loop it blew my mind. And so it wanted me to go online and figure out what that was called, and if are there any others in the United States. And that's when, and plus, you're watching these TV specials back in the day and seeing like, I remember very specifically watching the construction of a Superman the ride in Magic Mountain. I didn't live in Southern California at the time, but just going like, wow, that's interesting, And it was only when I started going online looking about this dive loop that I started seeing, Roller Coaster Database and things like that. And I just kind of became a little bit of a, online checking, figuring outer person, forums and stuff like that. And then it wasn't until I really started watching more YouTube. So in my profession, I work in television, and sometimes it requires me to just watch things on YouTube to look for research and stuff like that. And I started to, I'd moved to Orange County and, had gone up to Knott's Berry Farm for my first time. This was in 2005, and loved it. I'd heard of Knott's Berry Farm, just never gone, and loved it. And then I went to my first Knott's Scary Farm and just was so impressed with that. And so that was always kind of on my mind, and I'm just kind of looking at things. And then back in, I want to say it was 2015 or maybe 2016.
It's going on right now.
Oh no.
What?
Shout out.
Hello. Yeah, you're in. Do I not have the thing?
I can see in the dark.
Oh, all right, that makes sense. You're good. You're cool.
Well, you have a sign that says "Don't come in. I'm streaming." On air.
I have it's an old door thing from like it's some silly thing that like I used when I was a kid, and I still use it because it's like I'm not gonna make another sign and whatnot. It just is like the thing that goes on the door. Mm-hmm. But it's super dark in the hallway up there, so it totally makes sense.
Hey, listen, studios do the same thing. They have a red light, or it says on air. That's exactly that's what it does. Don't walk in. But yeah, now going back, so I don't remember if it was 2015 or 2016, but the construction of Hang Time started to pop up into my feed, and I started watching it, and that's where where I started seeing Drew's Parks Bros.
Yep.
Pop up, because he was covering it a lot. Now there's other people covering it, but at the time that's who's recommended to me on my feed, and it was kind of fun watching. And it's like, here's this young kid talking about coasters, and it was fun to kind of watch that progress. Then he started to come up to Magic Mountain, and by this time we'd moved to Valencia, and we were going to Magic Mountain all the time, and I started seeing the markers and stuff like that appearing for West Coast Racer. It was eventually become West Coast Racers in the underground, right? And Drew had gone up there with his crew, and they were walking around, and like, again, I know I joked about people screaming at the stream. I was screaming at his video because like he was walking past like all these markers that I knew were there, and he's like, I don't see anything else, and I'm like, no, you're missing. There's like a cool one right there, and so I didn't send him a comment because I didn't think that he would know what a comment was. So I found that he actually put his maybe I should be careful about this, but I was able to find out a way to contact him via email, and I just reached out and I said, hey, listen, I live next to the park. You've missed probably 20 different markers. I'd be happy to go film them, send you the footage. You don't have to give me any credit or anything like that. Just, I'm happy to help out. He's like, yeah, cool, dude. Yeah. And I'm going to come back in a couple days and you can show them all to me. So I met up with him, and I was like, I don't want to be on camera, whatever. It's cool, whatever. And really just, that's where this friendship started, and, helping him out film all the West Coast Racers construction updates. So most of his construction updates was footage shot by me. And I wasn't asking for credit. I was like, no, you take all the credit. I'm not out here looking for attention or anything like that. And through that, I met another individual, and we won't talk very much about him, but his name is John. He was also doing the same thing, filming stuff for Parks Bros. And I was like, oh, cool. We're just helping out and we're having fun in the community. And I started getting to know more and more community members and enthusiasts, and it was a lot of fun. And then people started chiming in like, hey, you should do your own channel. I mean, we'd watch your channel. You got good footage. And I was like, well, here's the thing. I don't want to, I'd be late to the game. I don't want to compete with these people that I enjoy. I would rather just help people out. I don't want to go do my own vlogs. Like there's 1,000 vlogs and stuff already out there. But then it got me thinking. And then I met another local, Dylan from Theme Park Obsession, kind of started hanging out with him, becoming friends with him, and, kind of seeing how he does things differently and just kind of talking to him. And He's like, yeah, you should really think about something. So I was like, all right, well, let me just think if there's some sort of show or something I could come up with. And started watching lots of different channels. And what I started realizing is that the comment section of a lot of these YouTube videos where people were asking questions about the individual, like Coaster Studios or whatever, and they're just like, hey, what's your favorite ride? Or Airtime Thrills, like, hey, how many rides have you ridden? Kind of stuff like that. And it's like, yes, you could have probably found those answers if you went back and watched old clips or stuff like that, but you do really have to do a lot of research. And or you gone to their Twitter or something. It's like I said, what's interesting? There's not really a place where these questions, like these personal questions about these people, not like what's your credit card number, but like, just kind of these people, the comment section I think if we made the comment section a show, I think that would be interesting. And so I approached this other guy, John, who the reason why I approached him, because again, I'm in the television industry and I'm a producer. And so it's like the producer mind in my head said, find people to help you. If you can, I don't own any fancy equipment. I rent everything in the television industry and the film industry. Shocker. Nobody owns anything. Everybody just rents it. You rent it, you make your show, you give it back. Why? Because if you buy something, it becomes obsolete in a year. Why buy it when you can just rent it? So John had very nice cameras and he had stabilizers and all the stuff he already owned. And so I was like, all right, well, how about you be the camera guy? I'll come up with this show where we interview these enthusiasts one-on-one and just kind of get to know. We'll become the comment section. And that's what we did. We filmed about 5 of those. I was lucky enough to get Sean from Theme Park Worldwide, who just happened to be in California as my first guest. No joke. I just approached him one day while he was there and I said, hey man, I'm a fan of you. I've been watching your shows for a while. I'm starting a show. Would you be willing to be on my show? And he's like, yeah, sure, but I'll do it. No, that was great. It was super cool. But we shot about 5 of those, and then the pandemic happened. And so obviously parks were closed and people didn't want to do one-on-one, interactions or anything like that. So I called it Theme Park ERT because I liked the idea of the ERT standing for exclusive ride time. I wanted to play with that word of what about exclusive ride time with your favorite enthusiast? Like this is an exclusive behind the scenes type of thing, right? And that's why we called it that. And then we came up with this idea of doing the acronym, just like Civilian Satellite here. We came up with the Enthusiast Roundtable, something that we could do that was pandemic friendly. Like, we're going to just do it online like you and I are doing right now. And we'll just get people to come in and we'll talk about them. And like, I'm not really about the show. I'm just more like leading the discussions, kind of think of it like a late night show. Like, why did people come on the late night shows? Well, to promote something, and the host is making jokes, but he's really, all he's doing is, kind of like what you just do with me, like asking me a question about me. So that's where it got started. And I guess, I don't know. I know that like you brought up In the Loop and some of these other homies that have had podcasts for years, some of these OGs, Coaster Radio and all that stuff like that. But I think the format that I came up with was kind of a new take on, at least in this industry.
I would say so, yeah.
Kind of like a Joe Rogan podcast type of thing, whether you love him or hate him, but still what he's done is very interesting, like just bringing different people on and really talking different kind of questions that they normally get. And so that's kind of what I was trying to do. And luckily it was very well received and people were, really happy to come on. And I was lucky enough to befriend a lot of people and, and it's just funny because it's like I started as nothing, and then all of a sudden, and because Magic Mountain is such an iconic park that people from all around the world who are enthusiasts want to come out here. So I wanted to take advantage of that and say, hey, you're going to be out. That's how I was able to get Taylor from Coaster Studios to come on. And, he's love him or hate him, but he's a very big player in the game. And so it was cool to have him. Same with Sean and Airtime Thrills, Chris and all these different guys coming in. And through that, I was able to get El Toro Ryan. And I think my favorite part of that was bringing in, because the pandemic was really separating people, right? And it was like people didn't get to see each other. And like I was able to create a show where we brought every single coaster idiot from El Toro Ryan's Coaster Idiots together. And it was a great episode because they were even saying that this was the first time that they've been able to talk to each other for a long time, which was cool. And it was fun to be a part of that. And I really enjoyed that, process of just talking to people and becoming friends. And, and if I picked up a subscriber or two along the way, that's great. But really what it was about was just building relationships and friendships. And unfortunately, and I won't dive too much into this, but this other guy, John, who's part of it, who had, I'd brought on to help out and stuff like that, started to turn out to be someone who didn't share the same vision as me, with kind of building these relationships being more important than numbers and, subscribers and stuff like that. And just some things that were questionable that I disagreed with morally, ethically, and things like that. I decided to walk away. I struggled with it for a long time because I had created the channel. I came up with a name. I'd really done really hard to build these relationships. And there was a few times where I had people reaching out to me through DMs to ask for clarification on something that John had said or done. And it felt like, why this is toxic. And I was scared to fire him because he knew where I lived. And I know that sounds really weird and maybe kind of petty, but I just was like, I've got a wife and kid. I don't need drama. So one day epiphany came is to just walk away. And at the time we had just over 1,000 subscribers. So not very many, but as you know, once you hit that 1,000 mark on YouTube, a lot of world opens up to you. You get, you're allowed to be monetized and you're allowed to have a lot more freedoms with YouTube. So it was hard. It was hard to walk away. It was really sad because, of all the work I'd put into it. And so he took the channel and kind of went a different direction with it, with Wonder Woman construction updates and stuff like that. And he found some success. And then he went over to TikTok and he's found incredible success on TikTok. I think he has almost 500,000 subscribers, over like 16 million views. But that's what he wanted to do. He wanted to make money. And to me, the relationships with the people were more important. Of course, I want to make money. I'm not saying I don't want to make money, but I really do think the relationships built with people and the enthusiasts is more valuable than just exploiting people for clicks. So it took a big chunk out of me. Like I was gone for about 2 years, not doing anything. And I was just, kind of went a little underground, doing some Instagram stuff here and there, trying to just ride out this COVID wave, just trying to figure out what to do with life. And then it just came back to me that I said, you know what, let me just test to see if there'll still be interest in this show, because the Enthusiast Roundtable part of the show was what I loved. I love talking to people. I love getting to know people. And I like just exploring topics that maybe they don't get brought up to them a lot. Like, like everybody can say, what's your coaster count? Okay, cool. But I like kind of going deeper, and it's like, hey, what's that moment that you had that brought you joy when you were riding a coaster? I think those are questions that are really interesting, that can really bring out the human side of an enthusiast, that makes them a little more vulnerable and more relatable, which I think is more interesting. So I was like, I'm gonna see if there's still interest out there. So, luckily when I just kind of put it out there, the feelers out there saying, hey, I got this idea of kind of making a comeback trailer type of thing. It was just kind of a funny thing. I just wanted to see if there was any interest. And when I had over 40 people respond, it blew my mind. Like I didn't expect, I thought maybe the core, like maybe about 5 or 6 of my kind of close core people would do it. But like, I was really, humbled and blown away and thankful for the people who did it. So, some people thought it may have gone a little bit too long, but I think it was kind of fun because it started to spark, interest. If anybody wants to see what it is, you can go to my Instagram. I've got them out there still. And also my YouTube channel, Enthusiast Roundtable, where we just had people just like asking where I've been. That's what it was. And I just felt like I owed everybody who sent me a video, I owed it to them to at least put it up, because you spent the time doing it. I'm going to spend it back to you. So we had about 40 people, and it was fun because then started people reaching out going, who's the ambassador? Like, what is this? Like, I want to try to do. I actually had 3 people who had never heard of my channel or me in the first place, but had heard of the Where's the Ambassador, and reached out and said, hey, can I do one too? I don't know who you are or what this is, but this sounds fun. And I was like, yeah, please. So that's super cool. So that to me just warmed my heart and let me know that there's still interest in it. And so I said, let's bring it back. Because I had shot 2 episodes in the old studio that we had, which is such a nice setup. But and I just felt like I owed it to those guests to get those episodes out. I just didn't know how to do it. So I'm grateful that I was able to relaunch the channel and get those episodes out. and then film 2 new ones, which is great. And then my house went to crap, and I haven't been able to shoot a new one set. So it's like, of course, the universe is throwing all sorts of things towards me, but I'm not being too sad. I know that in this game, as you know more than anybody, Carrick, consistency is very important just to stay relevant. So I appreciate you bringing me on so that at least my name can still be out there to all your subscribers. But yes, new episodes coming back, and definitely going to bring Carrick on as a guest. And the format of my show, obviously, we bring in at least 3 different people to just talk back and forth. And to me, I don't give a crap how many subscribers you have. What's important to me is that everybody has an opinion, everybody has a voice, and every voice is just as valid. So I really like, it's getting someone like Sean from Theme Park Worldwide, who has almost 500,000 subscribers or whatever it is. And you bring in somebody like, I don't even know, someone who's brand new, who has like maybe 50 subscribers. I think that's such a cool dynamic. You know what I mean? It's like, we're all here, we're all equal, we're all nerding out about roller coasters. And what's fun is that the old studio that I had, the guy that ran it, has a completely different type of podcast. His podcast that he runs out of that studio was about political stuff, and then he also runs one which is like kind of like a religion one. And when he started watching the enthusiast roundtable about roller coasters and stuff like that, he knows nothing about the industry, but he was engaged because he could see the passion, and that's why we're called enthusiasts, right? The enthusiasm that we had for theme parks and roller coasters, and he was drawn in. And I compare that to like when you're watching Netflix or YouTube or something like that, and all of a sudden you kind of get sucked into like a documentary about making soap. You have no interest in making soap, but it's so fascinating that you kind of now want to know, you know what I mean? And I think that's kind of what I'm trying to do with the Enthusiast Roundtable, is not only just bring in enthusiasts, but I want to kind of make it more accessible to people who are outside of the community that will just see the excitement and the fun that we have, and gain a greater appreciation. So it was a very long-winded answer, sorry.
No, extremely in depth.
Take a breath, everybody.
I mean, that was about as that was a really good answer to covered everything. And I really like how you went into and yeah, with the enthusiast roundtable, it's like, yeah, you get people just from different places, and everyone gets to talk. I do really appreciate that. I mean, that is, and you said that is, you didn't want to be like the same as like other podcasts. No, your thing definitely has a very different feel to it, and I definitely like to say, keep up what you're doing. I feel really bad for not. I wanted to participate in the whole
right
thing, but I was
man,
moving.
I could throw you under the bus so hard right now, couldn't I?
Yeah, I know.
I've got Carrick's rejection. Let me look it up.
Yeah, I was moving, and I wasn't sure how long I had to make it. I saw it was shorts, but then I saw I think it was a few of them, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I would have to make mine really good. I don't want to just throw something out there.
My favorite. No. The thing is, it could have been anything. No one had to top anybody. Of course, Scott comes out and does it on freaking Air Force One before it even opens. I was like, holy crap! And
the Canopy Coaster one that you mentioned earlier, I'm like,
so
I don't even.
No, but the thing is, Coaster Cuzzies, right? He only half understood the assignment. He sent me audio only, and but I made lemonade out of those lemons, and I made it his because he does his Coaster Cuzzies podcast. So I just made it like a podcast symbol, and I made it work. Like Extreme Thrills as well. Derek, he sent something that was really short. It was where's the ambassador? And that's all it was. And I was like, I got to do something about this. So I edited it to make it look like he was seeing all the videos. Go back and watch the one with Extreme Thrills to make it look like I just reversed it and forwarded it and reversed it, so it looked like he was looking at, and I switched it, and it was my screen recording of me look as if he was reading Instagram and YouTube, and then he went, oh wow, that was just my idea. That's to kind of extend it. So now you could have sent anything, but I'd have to look it up. I won't throw you under the bus, but it was pretty funny. I was like, hey Carrick, man, hey dude, would love to have you on, it would be so great. And then he was like, yeah, nah, bro, I'm gonna pass, but
it was more just I had a lot going on at that point. It was and yes, I realistically I could have done it, and I really wish I did, because it was I was stunned that it was like I saw, as you said, around 40 people. And it's like, oh my goodness, and the creativity and everything. And we just had Civilian Satellite in the chat say he had not heard of,
there you go.
of the show until the where's the ambassador?
That's right. I think, and yes. Oh, and hello from New Jersey. Hello, Theme Park Guy Productions.
Yes, former
I
guest.
Think that,
Thank you, Zach.
I think that Civilian Satellite did reach out to me on Instagram and did tell me that. So nice to see you, dude. Yeah, here it is. Let's read it. Ready? Because what I did, how I reached out to everybody is I did not do a story or whatever. I actually individually messaged people because I felt like
I remember that.
It's more personal. And it was like a video of me saying, hey, this is what I'd like to do. If you'd like to do it, let me know. And Carrick had said, when do you need this, have this done by? And I said, at your earliest convenience is totally fine whenever you do it. And he goes, I've been very busy as of late, and I probably won't be able to make it in time. If things change, I'll let you know. I don't want to hold anything up. See, it's always professional, always at the very end. He's very, very, very nice. I just said, no worries, my dude. Thank you all the very, very same. And then the funniest part is, where was it? Like you'd done some sort of like story about like, oh, I hate these comeback. I hate these.
I didn't say I was. I just my thing was like I was bringing back the channel. I was like so busy. I'm like I'm just bringing it back. I know this whole campaign app. Like I'm just like I know there's some people who've done campaigns and like I just can't do it.
He was busy with a bunch of stuff moving and like school and all this different stuff and work. And I remember he's like, sorry guys, I got to take a break a little bit from coaster time, but I'm coming back. I'm not going to do some grand hurrah, but I'll just be back. And I wrote back and said, so what are you trying to say? Because this is right in the middle of my.
Yeah,
I embarrassed. Like, no, dude. And the thing is, it's all love, dude. I know. Listen. I just give you a hard time. No hard feelings. I'm like the most laid back person ever. Like no hard feelings at all.
Yeah, for sure. I was just like, I could see how that could come off as a slight. I'm like, that is not what I meant at all. I mean,
I know, and that I didn't think that way at all. I was just having fun. I'm telling you, ever since I became a dad, like dad jokes to me are it's like it becomes unlocked. It's an achievement that comes unlocked when you become a father or whatever. The dad jokes they just come to you. So, yeah, sorry that you were at the butt end of my teasing, but. No, it's all good. And the cool thing about what I like about, and I teased you a little while ago too, because much longer ago, because I was like, like you're welcome for the inspiration for Coaster Hour. But no, the thing is, no, here's the thing. I love it. And I love everybody in the community. And like, it's like, like you said in the Instagram thing, promoting the show, too great, whatever. I won't call myself great, but absolutely. And what you're doing, you're killing it. I mean, if you look at the subscriber count with Coaster Hour compared to mine. Okay, I got a whopping 93 subscribers. Okay, so Carrick is killing it. So he's doing good. So you're doing something great, and I love what you're doing, and I want you to keep it up. And if anybody has not liked or thumbs up this live stream yet, please do so. I have done it, and follow him on all the social medias except for Threads. I don't know. I think I'm gonna be a. No, sir, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait a long time for Threads. I'm going to wait.
Yeah, there needs to be a lot of stuff added.
I'm still not on Twitter.
Changed up. Okay, well then that's fair.
I know I'm so old school. Well, no, I lied. In 2006? No.
I think it was 6 or... I think 6 was the first year. I forget.
So it was either 2006 or 2007. I had Twitter for 1 week while I was in college because I wanted to write a paper on it. My one and only tweet ever was, "Why do you use Twitter? Let me know." And I had about 5 random people respond, and I used their responses in my research paper, and then I deleted Twitter.
That's funny. Hey, but
you
got 5. You got 5. Yeah, you got 5 responses for just being a like absolute random account. Granted, like way back then, so user base was smaller, but still.
Yeah. And I still have that paper, and I got an A on that paper. So
that's awesome.
Go.
Yep, that's exactly how you do it. So
almost.
That is amazing.
What's up? Okay, buddy. I know. Are you so bored? I'm sorry. What's mom? Okay. Am I being too loud? Okay. I'll wrap it up soon. I promise. Carrick will even say that we're almost done. We're at, we're at 3.
We'll wrap
We've
it
been
up.
over.
Alrighty. So with that was a really good answer. I think you went over a decent bit of the hiatus in terms of like that question. And just because it is getting long.
I'll go real quick. What did I do? I worked. I work in television. I work 50 hours a week. I am a busy man. So that's what I did. But I'm happy to come back. So stay tuned.
Already sounds good. And actually, I'm
mini countdown. I'll do this real fast. He wants me to do a mini countdown. Top 5 coasters that
sounds
my
good.
top 5. Shivering Timbers for sure. It just says it's what a ride. Fantastic. Let's see. Underappreciated. Apocalypse. People give that too much of a pass. I think it's really fun. It's fun. It's a fun ride. Let's see. Underappreciated. I don't know if I could do 5.
Hey, but
and they were both wooden.
Shivering Timber, Apocalypse. I'm on the. I definitely am on the more negative. I'm not the like. What was it? I do like it, and especially after my last rides, I definitely see more of where the hype is with it. It's just, it's kind of it's a very interesting ride because it like. Early on, most of my time in the community, it's been kind of looked down upon as like a lower tier GCI. Then like 2019, I think they did a heavy retrack. Yeah, and a lot of people were hyping it up, and now it's kind of been a
because
weird
where it's
spot.
It's because it's where it's at, and that's why it doesn't get talked about enough. It's because it's very hard to get to. But let's see. I will say Thunderhead at Dollywood is underappreciated. It's really well, but I think more people are now.
That one's starting to get its hype train.
And what else? It's hard to say. Oh my gosh. Believe it or not, I haven't been to that very many parks. I don't know. I'll just go back to Magic Mountain. What's it called? Canyon Blaster. That is a cool little ride.
Yep, I love the ENF family coasters. They are always so fun. We have one here in Fresno. I just did it recently. I was like, wow, that was actually way better than I was expecting.
Right.
Yeah, it's better. It's the best one out of the two. If for some reason you want to get the coaster here in Fresno, go to Blackbeard's. They have the superior kiddie coaster, and it's cheaper. So
yeah. Well, here's an exclusive for Coaster Hour. I am planning. This is an exclusive now. Okay. I want to do what I'm calling the California Coaster Crawl. I want to start down south and go all the way north and ride every single roller coaster in California. And I've got people who can help me out with that. And so if you can help me out in the Fresno area, I would appreciate that. I'll reach out to you privately and we'll talk more about it. Someone who's done it pretty close, Joey from Single Rider Coasters. He's completed the California. He's done all of them, which is cool. But I'm going to have him help me. I want to do it all in one run. The California Coaster Crawl.
Crazy. I mean, the tips I can give you for the 2 Fresno coasters is they'll let you ride. You just have to have a second person. That is it.
Good. I got an 8-year-old son who will come along with me.
It's very you just have to have a second person, even though they're kiddie coasters. It's not like you have to have a kid. You just have to have a second person, literally. It's weird, and both of them have the same requirement. But for anyone who's going to Fresno, just know that if you're gonna try to get the credits, you need to have a second person. Doesn't have to be a kid. Just you have to have 2 people in a single car.
That's a good tip.
I'll just quickly run through my top 5. So my 5th was Furious Baco at Port Aventura and this isn't even ranked. I actually left off some coasters from the surprising list I did with Parks Bros. That being Space Mountain and Mystery Mine, but. Those coasters would have been on my list for underappreciated, for sure. But my 5th, Furious Baco Port Aventura, I think it's the best coaster at the resort, and it doesn't get nearly as talked about as certainly Shambhala and Red Force. It's also super unique, wing riding, hydraulic launch coaster. Literally, there are no other ones like it in the world. So I know it's got some roughness to it, but I think it's very much over exaggerated. Fourth would be Blazing Fury. That one just surprised me because the drop, one of the drops on it specifically, was completely caught me off guard. And it actually, for what it is, it's not like the theming is like the most insane thing ever, but I do enjoy it. So Blazing Fury at Dollywood. 3, I have Rougarou at Cedar Point. I thought it was going to be a disaster. It ended up being it actually ended up being one of, I won't say like my absolute favorite coasters of the park, but it definitely up there in terms of that type of even like B&M loopers I've done that are not inverts. It's definitely up there for me. Very pretty intense. I like the first drop, and even the twister section is kind of fun. Even though it isn't like super crazy or anything, I just found it unique. 2, I have Kentucky Rumbler at Beach Bend. I just wrote it. I think if more people were to write it after all the work they put into it this year, it would get a lot more hype. And then my number 1 is going to be Giant Dipper at Santa Cruz Beach Boardwalk. So many enthusiasts who go to NorCal, they skip out on it, and I understand it's a little out of the way, and NorCal's not cheap just to go to, but it's a phenomenal classic wooden coaster. My favorite of the like a true classic, like say pre 1950s 60s wooden coaster that I've done. And I'm excited to hopefully write it for its 100th anniversary next year. I don't know if the days will work out for that, but if I can go there for its 100th, I would absolutely love to. So even though it'll be crazy busy, I don't care. It's just going to be such a interesting experience. I think it'd be worth it. So that's our top 5. And guess if anyone has like any questions in like the next 3 minutes, we'll do that and we'll wrap it up. And actually, you're muted, Ambassador.
Sorry about that.
Oh, there we go.
We'll do a lightning Q&A. I got a little boy that needs to go to bed.
Yeah.
But I want to answer any questions if anybody has any. So
Alrighty. Yep, I'm gonna give it. I have like literally 2 minutes. I have my thing. Any questions that come in there will be good, and then I'll wrap this thing up. All right, one just came in from Jackson. Welcome to the stream. Nice to see you. What is our most anticipated coaster that we have left in the U.S.? I have not thought about. Probably Iron Gwazi, I would say. Yeah. That's gonna be my answer.
I will say that too. I'll say Iron Gwazi because it wasn't under construction. It just wasn't open yet. Last time I was there, like it was pandemic time. Velocicoaster, and I would say everyone at Silver Dollar City. I'm excited for those as well. The wristband. I'm jumping ahead. Sorry. The wristband is from the Diamond Elite. The Diamond Elite cabanas at Hurricane Harbor.
Hurricane Harbor. I was about to say, I'm like, those look so similar to the ones at it's a little different, but we have bands like that at the water park I work at. I work as a cashier at my local Wild Waters Adventure Park. Supposedly the largest water park in California. I think by acreage it is. It's pretty good size. Largest wave pool in the state as well. So some cool stuff. But
going to Fresno, everybody.
Yep.
And fun facts about Fresno: the airport identifier is FAT, which is fun. Go to the FAT airport.
Yeah.
I mean, here's we're gonna do a little tutorial on because if there's no questions coming in, this is how you remove wristbands. Find the inner thing.
Yep.
Not the outer, but the inner. Watch this. Comes right.
Yep.
Up. No problem. I got hairy arms. Not near a hair was ripped.
Yep, that's good. I learned that trick a few years ago. So, yep, that's a good piece of advice. Alrighty, I think that's gonna wrap it up here. Thank you so much, Ambassador. I know you had like some schedule stuff, but I really appreciate you coming on. We've been talking about this for a long time, so it's awesome to bring you on here. So, love to have you on here, and your in-depth answer for the first topic was very much appreciated. Wanted to mention that, and it was a really good time having you on. And whenever the opportunity comes around, I do very much look forward to coming on to your podcast. And for anyone who hasn't yet, definitely make sure to check out the Enthusiast Roundtable on YouTube. And if you have any last things you want to say, Ambassador, now would be the opportunity.
Sure. It's the_ambassador_ERT on Instagram. And you can also find me on Enthusiast Roundtable on YouTube. I appreciate and would very much love a subscription. If you would consider subscribing, just because we're just trying, if we can get to 1,000, that'd be great. But thanks, Parks Bros. Let's see. Jackson said, if I could move one coaster for the other side of the park, what would I choose? I would move. I'm going to move Leap the Dips to Busch Gardens Van Nuys. Let's see. Yeah, last words are just, thanks again, Carrick. Appreciate everything that you do and grateful to have me on, and for everybody who watched and asked questions. And if you have any more questions for me, again, just hit me up on social media. I will try to answer them.
Absolutely. And once again, huge thanks to the Ambassador for coming on, and also huge thanks to everyone for watching this. Like I said, I know the timing was a little weird, especially like the last 2 episodes have been very weird times, so very much whiplash there. But you can look forward to more Coaster Time episodes coming in the future. We'll be on a little bit of a probably few week hiatus. I might get a video out, I'm hoping, over the next few weeks, but things are ramping up for me. Some more stuff is going on, so wanted to give a heads up there. But that should be just about everything. So with all of that said, thank you all for watching, and I will see you all next time here on Coaster Hour. See you guys.